God damn it, Josh. Really?
I know it's only been 2 weeks, but it felt like ages since there was a proper discussion. 1 week off feels like an eternity sometimes. This chapter got me in my feels harder than the poor pilot from Volume 5. Can't wait to hear your opinions, bro. Hardy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the stream. That was perfect timing. That was pretty perfect timing.
I found it kind of weird how the woman in front of the statue managed to just disappear.
Oh, God. All right. Hold off on notifications really quick, guys. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the stream. Sorry for... I thought it would just be appropriate to do a little something like somewhat emotional of this chapter because of Qrow, obviously. And I couldn't think of anything better than just like that instrumental from Volume 2. I'm sorry, Volume 4, Chapter 2. So yeah, my heart's like super heavy right now, and I might actually just I might start I might shed a tear or two. How was everyone's New Year's? Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first live stream discussion of 2019. January 3rd. I hope you guys all had a happy new year, a safe one at that, with friends and family. Hopefully you guys have some New Year's resolutions set up. Hopefully you guys are also excited and looking forward to the last few chapters of Volume 6. So that's exciting. Oh my God. This chapter was so sad. I don't mean to take away from obviously the Emerald and Mercury bit, which I think was, all things aside from the whole Pyrrha situation, I think that was the more compelling part of the chapter, was finally getting Mercury's motivations for joining Cinder and seeing the differences and I guess the difference in character, despite the fact that Emerald and Mercury have gotten along so well over the course of the show. Seeing where they both have differences of why Emerald joined and why she feels she doesn't want to stay anymore, and why Mercury feels like he's well at home with everybody there. I think that was definitely the most compelling part of the chapter for me. I cried so hard when I saw Pyrrha's statue. That entire scene, I was just a mess. Obviously, the reaction's going to be up on Saturday, but you would think, right? Like, Volume 3 was her death. Volume 4, gave us the remembrance of it with Chapter 2. I believe that was the name of the episode, too, right? Remembrance, Volume 4, Chapter 2, right? So, they gave us that. And then Volume 5, they had Jean's whole scene with, confronting Cinder about Pyrrha, and, basically saying he's going to get revenge for what she did. And then you get Volume 6 with us finally getting some form of closure for Jean and his team, and maybe even seeing a bit of her family with the lady, the redheaded woman that was in that scene with him. So, it's very clear that Pyrrha's been a lingering factor since her death, and you would think I'd be able to to be able to handle it a lot better, but nope. It if anything, it just brings everything back up even more. So yeah, that was an incredibly tough scene to get through, and the fact that they brought Jen Brown back, because she's only, in terms of RWBY, she's only relevant when either Lisa Lavender's around or if we're talking about Ruby Chibi. But the fact that they gave the redheaded woman, who has no name apparently, the voice of an older Pyrrha almost, or maybe her mother or something like that. It's just the remnants of Pyrrha. Like I said, she looked like her. She had red hair, green eyes. They were in front of the statue. It just felt very. It came together really, really well, and I really liked it. And I think that's, again, a part of the closure that a lot of people wanted, because, and I know I'm kind of jumping into the conversation right now before we get into screenshots, but I feel like this is the part of the episode that most people are vocal about. So I kind of feel the need to kind of talk about it and get my initial mind kind of in check before we get into chronological order of things. But I feel like that was something that was very much wanted by the fandom. Ever since Pyrrha died in Volume 3, I've seen over Volumes 4 and 5 people saying, oh, we want to see her family, we want to see if she has siblings, we want to see how, you know, we want Team Juniper to tell them, you know, relay the news to them. Obviously, people already know that Pyrrha died based on the memorial and everything. But I think this is the closest thing we could have gotten without intruding on the fact, without forcing it for the sake of satisfying the viewers. I think it was a great scene, and I think it was the best way of doing it, right? And we got a little bit of, not backstory, but like, people knew her from Argus because she went to Sanctum, which was close by. And, you know, we already know that she's affiliated with Mistral based on Volume 1 when they talked about, like, how she won the Mistral regional pageant 3 years in a row. You know, she's on the box of cereal and stuff like that. So she's very well known. She's almost like a celebrity where she's from. And, you know, people were heartbroken that she decided to go to a school in a different kingdom as opposed to her own. So it's very obvious. It's very clear that that she was very renowned, very well known. Yeah, tournament. Sorry, did I say pageant? I meant tournament. Yeah, the Mistral Regional Tournament. Yeah. Wait, did she? It was some type of event. I don't remember word for word exactly, but I remember Weiss mentioning it in Volume 1. But yeah, Mistral Regional Tournament. There you go. I knew it was some event. I don't know why. I'm like losing track right now because I'm kind of getting into the discussion bits of it. But yeah, I really, really, really liked it. We're obviously going to talk a bit more about the scene in depth once we actually start the discussion. So I'm kind of getting my initial thoughts of that scene out of the way, and then going down the list. But first and foremost, again, thank you guys for tuning in to another discussion. I know it was very last minute. I didn't really kind of keep people up to date on when the next discussion would be. I actually haven't finished editing the reaction, but the reaction will be up and ready to go up live on Saturday at 12 o'clock as usual. And we have, I believe, 10, 11, 12, 13, we have four Saturdays left of RWBY, so 4 weeks left before the finale of Volume 6, which is going to be on the 26th of January, which is the same day that Genlock starts. And if you haven't seen Genlock, please watch Genlock. I've seen the first episode already. Rooster Teeth gave a secret stream of the first episode during the holiday break, so if people haven't seen it, there are some people who have seen it, some people who haven't seen it. I was one of the people who were fortunate to be there during the stream to watch and record my reaction to the surprise stream of the first episode. So Genlock looks really, really fun, really great, and I'm super excited for that show immediately after RWBY ends. But obviously, more importantly, I hope you guys had a happy new year. Hopefully you guys have a bunch of goals and resolutions set up for the new year. And if not, hopefully you guys kind of try to just do more and be the best person or the best version of yourself this year than you were last year. Hopefully this year's a lot better too. Obviously things were up and down for myself. The channel, I think, did really well in 2018. There were some things that I feel I could have done better, in terms of discipline, that I'm going to try to kind of, make a lot better for myself and just my workflow and my work ethic moving forward. But yeah, 2019 was great. I spent the New Year's Eve into New Year's Day with some close friends that I haven't seen in a really long time. So we hung out, we played board games, we played VR, we had, we ordered Chinese food, and we hung out and entered the new year, as we always do. But yeah. And oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out in this month. Like this month, we can actually say that KH3 comes out this month. Yeah, the channel is about to reach 80,000 subscribers, which is crazy too, to think about. Like, I really do feel like if I do the best that I can this year, I could reach 100,000 subscribers hopefully even before RWBY comes out, like Volume 7, which is even crazier to say Volume 7, But yeah, I'm so close, man. Like, it's so crazy, and I'm thinking more and more about the silver play button than ever before, because I think around 50K was when I started having mental images of it, but then, 60, 70K, moving towards 80, like, now I'm like, holy shit, I can actually start thinking about it. So, I know what video I want to do for 100K. I have a video coming out. I have a video that I'm working on right now, which is going to be kind of like a year in review of all of the highlights and big moments and kind of the journey of 2018 and the growth that the channel went through. And obviously, you know, all the content that you guys have watched and supported. So I hope you guys look forward to that. And again, Josh and Shane, thank you guys both for the early donations of the stream. Also, really quick for super chats, Chelsea, thank you very much for the super chat. I'm already crying. Thanks, Arnold. JK, I've missed you. Thank you so much. Yeah, like it's been a while. It feels like it's been like what, 2 weeks since I did the last live stream discussion, and I've been enjoying and kind of taking it easy on the on content during the holiday break. So myself included, I haven't done a lot in terms of videos or anything off stream, like off screen or on the back end of things, because you know it's the holiday. I just want to kind of enjoy myself and take it easy. But yeah, it's kind of weird getting back into the flow of things, but I'm excited. Rosa Lopez, hey Arnold, hey Murder, glad I could make it. Can't wait to get started. This episode was super crazy good, sad but good. I was sobbing at work, got my writing cap on tonight, been looking forward to it. Nice, glad to hear that. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who got very emotional of the episode, so you're not the only one either. You know, Pyrrha is a lingering factor in the show. When a leaf made us cry. Why onion cutting ninjas? Yeah, like, she's, like, you know, she is, like, the Fall Maiden, or she was the fallen Fall Maiden, you know, because she was gonna be the Fall Maiden, and then she ended up dying, so, like, the Autumn Leaf, in a way, more so represents Pyrrha now more than ever. And, like, we also got, like, little hints of that during the Volume 2 intro. So it's kind of inevitable at this point. Whenever you see a maple leaf, just think of her. Hey, hello, birds. Can't wait to see you react to this episode. I also can't wait for Genlock. Yeah, same here. Genlock's going to be really exciting. I thought I was heartless until this episode. All my years of being emotionless fell apart. Just something about the episode made me cry myself to sleep that night. GG, Qrow. Yo, the episode, crazy good, man. Like, just super emotional, and I think that's, like, the ultimate closure for Pyrrha, and mainly Team Juniper, especially because we got to hear a lot of what Ren and Nora had to say about the situation, which we've never really gotten their perspective on how they felt, or how they reacted, or how they dealt with dealing with Pyrrha's death after Volume 3, because a lot of that stuff was skipped over because of the time skip of Volume 3 to 4. And we got little snippets here and there of obviously, like, okay, they're a team. Jean's taking it the most. Jean's, like, it's hitting Jean the hardest out of all of them. But yeah. Let's see. Whoa! EDH player, what's up, man?
Please add me as a friend on Switch. Friend code 4065
Oh boy.
4615 4227. Also, I am loving Oscar's new outfit.
Oh, I love Oscar's new outfit. I absolutely love Oscar's outfit. I will keep your code in a safe spot. Well, I mean, I'll have the code on my Streamlabs doc here. But yeah, I don't want to make any promises of adding you, because if I do that for one person, I have to do it for everybody. And I typically don't add people I don't personally know. Like, if it's not like a friend or a family member, then I try to keep my friends list as empty as possible, because I've dealt with that in the past of adding random people on PlayStation and Xbox, and they get way too invasive and way too intrusive and way too uncomfortable.
I can't tell if Nora's interactions with Oscar is just Nora being, well, Nora, or if she's legitimately hitting on him and lost interest in Ren.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just Nora being Nora, to be quite honest. I mean, we already know how crazy she is for Ren, so, and Oscar is like 14. She's like, what, 18, 19 at this point? So, yeah. Wouldn't look that great. Let's see. Oh!
I honestly have never cried before at a show. Not at Pyrrha's death, or the Volume 4 training video. No moment in any show has ever made me cry, but then suddenly this maple leaf appears and I start crying. What the hell, Rooster Teeth? Well,
let's
shucks.
see.
Oh well then. Gonna enjoy the stream.
I mean, I'm still down to play, like, video games if you want. Like, I'll play Smash Brothers with viewers and stuff like that, but I typically don't open, like, that's why my friend code isn't public, because I don't want that type of, like, bombardment from people, and I know that some people are a little bit more unrestrained than others, so no offense to you, obviously. I hope you understand. But, I mean, I do appreciate you being here. I do appreciate the donations and the support. But with all of that said, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to get into the discussion, all of the nitty-gritty, the ins and outs, the bits and bobs. Aaron, Aaron, hey, Arnold, hope you have a great day. Also, so far, a fun 2019. Sadly, I can't stay on, so here's $5. Thank you very much, Aaron. Appreciate it. If you are heading out for the night, have a good one. Obviously, the discussions will always be posted after the fact for you to check out on your own time when you have the time. And as the chat is reminding me, because it's been a while, I will be implementing slow chat right now. So just so we can keep things in order, so I can get through reading comments in a timely fashion, and so my mods don't get trampled.
Hello from Malta. This is my first live stream I'm catching of yours. It's so great.
Ratchfirewind or Ratchfirewind? I hope I'm saying that right either way. But greetings. Hello from Malta. This is my first live stream. So first and foremost, welcome. I do these every Thursday for RWBY during RWBY seasons. Typically these live stream discussions are every Thursday, where I kind of get together with myself, the community. We talk about the latest chapter. Like, we break it down to a science, basically, all the nitty gritty and whatnot. So I hope you enjoy. There's people in the chat. There's myself. I read the chat and everything else like that. So if this is your first time in here, I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for the donation as well. And I don't know what time it is in Malta, but hopefully it's not too late for you to tune in. But I appreciate it nonetheless, and I hope you enjoy. Let's see. All right, let me get through a little bit of the chat before we start. Okay, slow chat's been enabled, so hopefully that works out for everybody that's here. Oscar Protection Squad, where you at? Yeah, okay, so yeah, really quick, I really liked Oscar's new outfit. I'm a sucker for outfits. Like, if I get a new outfit, like, I'm gonna go crazy over that. Like, even Ilya, I was like, holy shit, she got a new outfit, and it was just for that one scene in the first episode. And, you know, RWBY went to the extra effort of doing that, even though they knew that creating a new model of her wouldn't have had any lasting effects. But I don't know. I think it's super cool whenever we get new outfits. Like, it just shows a level of growth, and we don't have to look at the same character in the same outfits. You know, that's why the Volume 4 outfits were such a big thing, because it's like we've seen them in their Volume 1 through 3 attire, albeit we did get that one episode in Volume 2, where they had, you know, their kind of espionage, like, covert ops outfits. At least Team RWBY did. So I'm a sucker for new outfits, new gear. It's a sign of progress, and I love JRPGs, and the one thing about JRPGs that I love the most is switching out old loot and old gear for new and better gear. So that's kind of what it reminds me of, at least. But yeah, Oscar looks great. He's rocking the green a little bit more, so I think that's a little bit of Ozpin showing there with the green attire more than ever, even though he isn't present at the moment. But yeah, we have chapter 10, 11, 12, and I believe 13 is the finale chapter of the volume. And apparently some shit's going to be going down in the next few chapters. They're hyping up. They've been hyping up, like, these last 4 episodes. Obviously, the finale is going to leave us off for the year for what we can expect in terms of revelations, plot twists, you know, fight scenes, however it is that they're going to get to Argus, etc., what Cinder's and Neo going to be up to, what Watts and Tyrian are going to be up to, how Ruby's going to get to, you know, how RWBY and company is going to get to Atlas, etc. So, I'm just wondering more than ever. And then this summer at RTX, we're probably going to get the first look at what they're going to be doing for Volume 7 with whether it's a character short or a trailer or a snippet of an episode or something like that. I thought it was 14 chapters. Well, if you look at their schedule, Carrie said that the finale is on January 26th. That's in 4 weeks. So this Saturday, hold on, let me pull up a calendar really quick. So this Saturday, And they obviously rescheduled, depending on when they said 14 chapters. Between then and now, they obviously restructured things. So on the 5th, this is the schedule for first members, of course. So on the 5th, we get chapter 10. On the 12th, we get chapter 11. On the 19th, we get chapter 12. And on the 26th, which is the date of the finale, we get chapter 13. So this volume's only going to be 13 chapters. But I don't think anyone should really complain, because before even finishing the volume 6 is already the longest volume of the series. I think chapter 8 made it the longest in terms of runtime. If you take out the intro and outro, in terms of like strictly like runtime and stuff that we get in an episode, volume 6 is already the longest volume of the series, and we have 4 chapters left. So I don't think it's that bad. They're sacrificing quantity for quality. At least I think so. Yeah, longest doesn't necessarily mean better. So I don't think that's really a problem. We've gotten a lot of this volume already. So, it is what it is. So where's the sneak peek at chapter 10? I wouldn't know. I don't watch the previews of... I haven't seen anything of RWBY Rewind this year, actually. If I'm being completely honest. I watched the first episode of RWBY Rewind, and then that was it. And that's just because they changed the day that it comes out, and now comes out on Monday, which is super weird. As opposed to last year when it came out like immediately after the episodes, I think on like the next day, I think. So, I'm not really able to watch RWBY Rewind because it conflicts with my schedule, in a way. Have you started the main discussion? No, but I'm going to be now. I did a little bit of a spiel at the beginning.
Happy belated New Year.
Hey! Oh, wow! Luca Blight, 69, thank you so much. Happy belated New Year as well. Thank you for the $50 donation. Hopefully you're doing well. I haven't seen or talked to you in a while. I mean, I remember, I think I talked to you at one point in, like, Fat Man's chat for, like, a second, if I'm not mistaken. But, I hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it very, very much. Hopefully your new year has been going well as well, even though we're 3 days into 2019. See, like, the one thing that I'm dealing with in 2019 already is I keep referring to 2018, and you always have that one person who's, like, quick to remind you, we're actually in 2019. That was technically last year, and I'm like, shut up. Like, give me at least a week to get my mind to wrap my head around the fact that it's 2019.
And if you ever watched or read the French story, The Little Prince but Oscar's new outfit, which I love, BTW, resembles it an awful lot. Also, in the story, the little prince falls in love with a rose, and Oscar does seem close with our Ruby Rose. Oh
boy, that's interesting. I'll definitely look that up. The little prince. I've never heard of that that French story. But I mean, Rooster Teeth is all about inspirations and parallels and things of that nature. So that's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Judging by how Oscar was talking, I have a bad feeling Oscar has since taken over. I have a feeling that Ozpin has since taken over Oscar's remaining self. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but it definitely will.
I was late to the stream because I was busy playing Persona 5, which I decided to play because of your Smash reaction.
Oh my gosh.
I'm glad I did because I'm having a total blast.
Yo, you know what? I wouldn't care if you just left my stream and kept playing Persona 5. That game is so good. So worth it, man. I'm so happy to hear you're playing it. God, I love Persona 5 so much. Jen Brown's voice sent me down memory lane by watching Pyrrha's old fights. So frenetic, fast, and exact. Reminds me, made me realize they've gotten used to a much more gradual and deliberate style of fighting animation with each volume. Yeah, I mean, everything in moderation. Everything will come in time, especially since they had to, like, switch gears from Poser to Maya and learn Maya as they were using it. So, you know, I commend the Qrow for all of the accomplishments and all of the strides that they've been hitting as well. Let's see. I feel bad that I didn't cry this episode, but watching your reaction definitely made me. Heartbreaking that Oscar had has accepted he will be lost. I mean, if there's no other way around it, you might as well
Happy
make
New Year,
the
my
most
man.
of it, you know?
God, I love this episode so
Hey!
much. So heartfelt emotion.
What's up, Matt? Thanks for the 25, dude. Happy New Year to you as well. Appreciate all the support, dude. Hopefully you're doing well. Haven't talked to you in a while. Glad to hear about the episode. Well, with all of that said, let us start the episode because I feel like I'm gonna be doing this forever. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for the donations, for the super chat. Thank you guys for being here. I definitely appreciate it. And without further ado, let us go all the way down to the bottom. Let us start the chapter. So I was very surprised by this. So I mentioned it in my reaction, but I was not expecting. I believe the thumbnail was the thumbnail. I think the thumbnail was Emerald.
I have a theory.
Let's see.
Ozpin's original body is still alive and his soul will return to it when they finally journey back to Beacon. Something occurred during the cinder fight that separated his soul from his body. Remember, no body, no death.
Well, no body, no death, but Ozpin's an exception because in order for Ozpin to reincarnate, he has to die. Dying, like him reincarnating, is the evidence that he died. So I don't personally think that that is possible. His original body, yeah, I don't think that that's possible because the two souls are combined at that point. So I understand the concept of no body, no death, but it's an exception for Ozpin because Ozpin transcends death. He still dies, but his consciousness is what transcends him dying. He still dies regardless. Let's see. Must be awful dying over and over. Yeah, tell me about it. So yeah, I was really surprised when I went to the site and I saw that Emerald was on the was the thumbnail, I believe, for the episode, because we haven't really seen the villains that often, or as much as I thought we would when we first started Volume 6. We saw them in Chapter 4. I think that's the chapter. So that's how it is, right? We saw like the aftermath of the fall of the aftermath of Haven. And that was really it, and everyone kind of got shunned away by Salem, and that was that. But I was very surprised to see that what we'd get with these two is essentially their motivating factors, like what drives them to still do this, what got at least Mercury into it, because it was very clear why Emerald was always down for the cause, right? Especially since we saw what she was like before Cinder found her, and, you know, based on the fact that Cinder was training her and everything, and she was like, follow me and you'll never go hungry again, and she's like, thank you. At that point, she's willing to do anything and everything for the person that essentially, quote-unquote, saved her life, or took her off the streets, because her life could only have gotten worse from that. So it was very easy, and I think it was always easy to tell or to make the implications of why Emerald was doing it, but we quite literally had no reason or idea why Mercury was on board up until now, which was really great, because again, we haven't gotten a lot of Mercury since Volume 3, at least from the flashback, because I think it was mainly due to the fact that Yuri Lowenthal is probably just a busy person, and, you know, he was voicing the lead character. He was the lead voice actor for Spider-Man. He voiced Spider-Man in the PS4 exclusive game, and that probably halted him from having anything to do with Volumes 4 and maybe even Volume 5, because he had very little lines to deliver during those volumes. So I really liked how this time around he's a lot more present. He's a lot more, you know, he's defending Emerald, and he has a lot more agency. He isn't just like an empty shell just there to remind us that Mercury is a part of the group, even though he's not talking or injecting himself into the situation at all. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, fellow Massachusetts buddy. It's my first time here tonight as well. I really liked Tyrion's new tale this episode. Kinda feeling like / hoping it's also a gun. Jess, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you in here. Appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy. This is, as I usually do every week, RWBY discussion of the latest chapter with viewers in the chat. We kind of break down the chapter scene by scene, and you know, if people are able to join, they can, and if not, they're uploaded after the fact. But thank you for joining. Glad to hear you're from Massachusetts. That's really great. I live an hour away from Boston, so you can base that on how close we are. Oh, thank you, Miraculous. Thank you for the DM. I'll definitely check that out after the stream. Let's see. I feel like Oscar is freaking out too much because of what we know Ozma tries to live with that person. And he only took over when he was needed.
I just really want to know how Mercury had his semblance stolen from him. I wonder if it was his father's semblance. Or perhaps it's mental abuse which made him repress it internally, and even now,
I mean,
in his subconscious, he is still scared of its power.
I mean, he already explained that, but I mean, in general, I mean, I'll get to that really quick, but I also like the fact that not only are we seeing and hearing Mercury talk, but he's actually incorporating a lot more punches. So I mentioned this in my reaction as well, but I like how Yang kicks a lot more than she punches nowadays, and I like how Mercury punches a lot more than he kicks, because they're the polar opposite fighting style, and Yang is weak to people who kick. I wouldn't necessarily say that Mercury is weak to people who punch, but I still think that it's kind of cool to just see that in his training, he's getting those haymakers, he's getting those punches in as well as the kicks, because he's typically a kickboxer more than anything. But I just thought that this little training montage that I put together emphasizes a little bit of the fact that Mercury's probably itching to fight somebody. It's been such a long time, and I kind of exclude the whole Volume 5 fiasco because, yeah, he was fighting Yang again, but it wasn't like the rematch that I was expecting or hoping for, right? Like, I really wanted it to be, right, like, Yang has a lot on her plate. Like, I think Yang needs to duke it out with Mercury again, and I think Yang needs to duke it out with Neo again, especially since those two characters are the ones that gave her the most shit in volumes 2 and 3 respectively, you know? So, and I know, like, you could say, yeah, well, it happened off screen, but, I mean, I don't know, it's not as satisfying, you know what I mean? Imagine her fight with Mercury in the finals of the Vital Festival tournament was off screen, you know? I mean, there's still... Yeah, I know there's no haymakers, I was exaggerating, but yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he just lands one, like, in a fight at some point in the future. Let's see. So yeah, these two are, I think I view Emerald and Mercury as, like, the closest thing to siblings that siblings can be, right? Like, they're not technically related, but they've been together for a really long time. And you could definitely tell, like, this is definitely just a sibling, like a squabble between siblings. Hold on a second. Let me fix this image right here because this part is bothering me. Okay. All right, we're good. So yeah. I know some people are talking about, like, All for One. I guess that's a My Hero thing. I haven't seen My Hero, so I first off, I prefer to just stay away from that topic, number one. And number two, I don't know how that would work. I don't know anything about it, so I can't provide an opinion on that just yet. But, overall, I think before anything, like, they're obviously talking, they're going back and forth. They're polar opposites, mind you, right? Emerald grew up without a family, and, you know, Mercury also says, you know, oh, I'm sorry you didn't grow up with a mommy who loved you, but I grew up with a father who hated me. So it's kind of like one person had something the other didn't, so they weren't able to see the other person's perspective. Like again, Emerald attaches herself so emotionally to Cinder because Cinder was that thing that she never had, or at least she projected Cinder to be that thing that she never had. Someone who loved her, who cared about her, who taught her things, who steered her down the right path, who took her off the streets, who showed that she cared. And we all know Cinder for the most part. I don't think Cinder has I don't want to be that person to say, but I think Cinder lacks compassion for other people. She doesn't show that at all. And at this point, I feel like Emerald, it's very much in her head about that. Like, she sees what she wants to see. In a way, it reminded me a little bit of like Stockholm Syndrome, which I mean, this is a little different because Cinder didn't kidnap Emerald. You know, I guess now Emerald's there against her will, but like, like Stockholm syndrome is like, for those of you who don't know, it's basically if you get kidnapped, you basically start empathizing or sympathizing with your kidnap, like with the person who kidnapped you, and you basically start feeling for them in a way that they're like, oh, they're not a bad person, they didn't mean to do this, or I don't feel bad that they kidnapped me against my will, or whatever the case might be. I think not the kidnapping part, but I think Emerald sees it as like, Cinder saved my life, therefore my life is hers. I don't know. I guess it's more so like the fact that she doesn't see anything wrong with the fact that Cinder is using them for these plans, and Cinder's getting all the rewards. Cinder's getting the Maiden's power. Cinder's getting all of this recognition. She's right. She's basically become Salem's right hand in this, in all of the, all the planning that they're doing and whatnot. And she doesn't see anything. She just sees like a friendly, healthy relationship with Cinder, which is very delusional. And I think it's very, it's very ironic too, considering that Emerald has a semblance that creates hallucinations, yet she's the one that's in denial, and she's the one that's delusional from realizing that Cinder doesn't give a shit about her or Mercury when it comes down to it. So I think that that's incredibly ironic for her perspective more than anything. And then you have Mercury, who again, like, he had a parent, right? And they never mentioned his mom, which is a little, I guess it's not strange, it's just the fact he didn't have a mother in his life. I mean, I wonder what happened to her, because I am curious about that. Like, did she die giving him birth? Did she die after he was born? Did the father kill her because, he was an assassin or whatever? Those are just kind of questions that I have, just because, he obviously was birthed and his father raised him. So I'm always just wondering, or did the mother leave because she didn't like that the husband was an assassin? There's just a lot of questions looming around about his parenting, and because parenting is the first thing you look at when you look at a person and the way that they behave and their demeanor and everything. Like, how someone turns out is heavily based on how they were raised. And you got Emerald, who grew up with no mother and no father, no family. But then you had Mercury, who had a father, but it was like the worst thing in the world for him because his father fucking hated him. He used to like abuse him severely. He was an alcoholic. He basically put Mercury through hell. And, basically is why Mercury is so hardened as an adult now. Mercury does not have silver eyes. Come on, guys. Let's not do this, please. Let's not go down the rabbit hole of silver eyes again. If I had a quarter for every time someone said someone who had silver eyes, who doesn't have silver eyes, has silver eyes, I'd be good. No. Also, if Mercury had silver eyes, I'm pretty sure Salem wouldn't need to, like, hunt down Ruby for hers. He has gray eyes. Gray and silver are incredibly close. But anyways, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. So yeah, I liked how they are completely on opposite sides of things, both in their upbringings and where they both stand on the matter of, why are we here? What are we doing this for? What do we have to gain from everything? Emerald sees it as, well, if Cinder isn't here, then why am I here? Whereas Mercury is like, well, Cinder doesn't give a shit about us anyway, and I feel right at home because, my skills and my talent are being utilized, and that's the whole reason why I was even, not the reason why he was born, but that's what his whole life has been. So he feels right at home. Emerald doesn't, for different reasons. They obviously feel differently about Cinder. I think Emerald's gonna get burned. No pun intended, but I think Emerald's gonna get burned by Cinder because of the fact of, like, she's just so willing to throw herself at Cinder just because Cinder got her out of a bad situation. It's like, just because someone does something good for you doesn't mean you owe them, like, an arm and a leg and your life and your, basically what Emerald's doing. Giselle 4529. They just need some love. Exactly. They just need someone to know. They just need to know that someone out there loves them and cares about them. Because right now, Cinder is the closest thing they have to that, which it's very fleeting, right? Cinder's out of the picture, and they're like, well, what do we do now? You know what I mean? It's like they just lump themselves with the next closest person that they have, and they can't leave Salem, right? Like Salem is just like, I don't give a fuck what your goals are. My goals come before yours. So she's not exactly the best replacement, if you will. So so that happens, and he's also mentioning his history, his backstory with his father. And someone mentioned it earlier, but Mercury actually explains the situation. So Elemental Penned 4 says, I just really want to know how Mercury had his semblance stolen from him. Well, Mercury actually says, I'm trying to think verbatim. He says, so Sin doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about any of us. You don't know what you're talking about. You're in denial. And if you want to, she's like, I'm sorry you didn't have a mommy who loved you, but I had a father who hated me. Every day was a beating. And when I finally unlocked my semblance, he stole it with his. So Mercury's father's semblance was the ability to steal semblances. If I'm understanding that. So Marcus Black used his semblance to steal Mercury's semblance, and he hung that over his head. He was like, oh, you want this back? Well, you got to get stronger. And he basically used that as a way to weaponize his son and turn him into an assassin, but he never ended up getting it back. And yeah. So my father stole it with his, yeah, so he stole his semblance with his, but that's what's crazy to me, is like, he basically stole your soul, because that's what, I mean, I guess unless they're trying to redefine what a semblance is now, which I guess they kind of have, they basically say now it's a superpower, and they kind of drift further and further away from what a semblance initially was, which was a manifestation of the soul, which again, that was like volume 1 and volume 2 terminology and definition, which it's, so, I mean, I guess it's fine for them to retcon if they can understand now that back then what they had laid out for the concept of a semblance or aura wasn't the best thing, and Miles and Carrie have mentioned that as well, especially in like their commentaries, but or in like the RWBY behind the scenes and stuff like that, and interviews and whatnot, but yeah, like up until now we've understood and established that a semblance is a manifestation of your soul. So if your father stole your semblance, your father stole your soul, or part of it, or whatever you want to call it. So I actually just think that, yeah, well, I mean, yeah, aura is the manifestation of the soul, but your semblance is a tangible manifestation of your soul. So a semblance is still a part of that. You know, so, yeah, I think the World of Remnant says, like, semblance is a term used to define the projection of one's aura into a more tangible form. So, essentially, your semblance is your aura, but, like, you're actually able to use it. So, Arnold, what's your semblance? I don't have one. I mean, I know what I would want if I had a semblance. It'd be Eagle Vision. It would be more of like a utility semblance than like a combat semblance, which is probably a bit lame considering it's the world of RWBY. But yeah, but I think that's a cool semblance in general, is like his father's semblance gave him the ability to take away other people's semblances. So him being an assassin, he's able to take away his opponent's most, like their trump card, basically their most powerful asset that he doesn't even know about going into a fight or going in for a kill. And he's able to just eliminate that from someone and probably screw them up because they're like, why can't I use my semblance? It's my thing. How the hell do you have the way to, how the hell are you able to steal it? And he's probably able to kill a lot of his targets because of that. So, yeah, Assassin's Creed. Yeah, the Eagle Vision from Assassin's Creed. I'd like that to be my semblance. Let's see. Forgot to watch the episode, but I haven't caught a live stream in a while. By the way, you've been saying my name right? Oh, nice. Which is honestly rare. Anyways, love you. Thank you, Brianna. Brianna Ramirez, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Glad to hear I got it right. I'm super self-conscious when it comes to reading off people's names or usernames because, you know, pronunciation and stuff like that. It's hard for me to pronounce it correctly if I've never heard the word being said before. Let's see. So again, I think that that's a super cool semblance. It's kind of fucked up because Mercury basically got toyed by his father the whole time. And you know what? You know the bottom scene right here where he kills his dad? I wonder if that's where he was just like, all right, I'm done. Like, you're going to give me my semblance or I'm going to kill you to get it back. Because in my head, I'd think, well, if you stole someone's semblance, the best way to get it back is to kill that person. And if that person's dead, their semblance is no longer able to be used, and that would break the hold of your semblance over them that they have over it, and it would go back to you. But it doesn't. It's not like Made in Magic, right? It doesn't seek out its other half, or it doesn't go to the person who killed them. So like when his dad died, he like straight up didn't get anything back, and that's a little messed up. What I do want Miles and Carrie to answer for us now, because they did ask this question, I believe they asked it in the last Reddit AMA, but somebody asked Miles, or someone asked the question, Miles responded. Someone was like, what's Mercury's semblance? Does Mercury have a semblance, and if so, what is it? And Miles responded with, I believe he responded with, yes, Mercury has a semblance. You'll find out what that is later. I don't think he meant like you'll find out like specifically what the semblance is. I think he meant like what we just found out, that he had a semblance. We'll never see what it is because his father stole it and then died, so he never got it back. So at the very least, I hope they're willing to tell us if they've thought that far ahead. I hope they're willing to at least tell us what the semblance would have been, right? Like they said like what's his name? Roman never discovered his semblance, so it's not as easy to be like, well, this is the semblance we would give him if he had one. No, Mercury unlocked his semblance, awakened his semblance, had a semblance, and it was stolen from him. So the semblance was always there. I'm just wondering, now that we know it existed, what was it? Even though we'll never see it. I think that would be just as cool. Spidey sense, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, no, because that's like Maria's semblance. Preflexes, that's basically spider sense. She can sense everything better than most and see attacks almost before they happen. That's literally Spidey sense. So no, he couldn't have that. I get the reference, right? Yuri Lowenthal, he's Spider-Man, he's Mercury. But no, I'd really like to know what his semblance was, to be completely honest. And I don't think it's a spoiler question, unless it can't be a spoiler question, like, because I know that that's like an immediate thing that they'd probably say is like, oh, we can't give spoilers, keep watching the show to find out. But it's like, if he doesn't have his semblance now and his dad's been dead for like how long, like a few years, then quite literally he's never getting it back, unless they do a flashback. But even then, it's like they're telling us his flashback, so there's no point in showing it to us at this point. I don't know. And yeah, he mentioned too, like, his father basically said, like, your semblance is a crutch. Your semblance makes you weak. And Mercury, I have a lot of respect for Mercury now more than ever. Like, I never didn't have respect for him. I always liked him as a character whenever he was actually doing something, right? So these last couple of volumes, he's lacked agency. He hasn't really been doing or saying much, and it's kind of like he's in the background. You know he's there, but he's not doing anything. And then we finally get this moment of him, and I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, this reminds me how much I really enjoy Mercury, because he like, first off, he was very mysterious initially, but he was always down to get shit done. And especially like in the tournament, in the Vital tournament, he had no problem just fucking up these kids, right? Coco and Yatsuhashi gave them the work. RWBY, like, had no problem beating the shit out of a freaking 14-year-old girl, or 15-year-old girl, sorry. And I'm just here like, dude, this guy's hardcore. This guy doesn't give a damn. And then, like, now we're learning even more so, like, growing up, this kid had to work twice as hard. You know who he reminds me of, in a way, or at least what he was saying? It reminds me a lot of, why I like Rock Lee so much from Naruto, is the fact that, like, he sucks in genjutsu, he sucks at ninjutsu, but, like, so he has to work his ass off 3 times harder than everybody else to be at a level playing field, and he just focuses on taijutsu, and he just like bodies everybody. He's like, I suck at this, but you know what? I'm gonna be the best at this, and I'm gonna whoop everyone's ass at this thing because I'm gonna work 3 times harder than anybody else. I'll outwork everybody else to kind of prove that. And that's Mercury's. And in a way, that's kind of Mercury's.
I honestly thought Mercury's dad didn't physically steal the semblance, but did what most abusive parents do to the strength of their victims, by turning it into a weakness.
Well, that's kind of what he did. He kind of psychologically, like, made Mercury feel like, as a kid, or as like a kid, like, this is bad. This makes you weak. You don't need this. You need to work strong, and if you work strong, I'll give it back to you. So he was using it as, like, an incentive to kind of force his son to kind of work harder. It's kind of like a reverse psychology, kind of fucked up way of doing it, because it's like, you can't really say, well, he was helping his son out for the bit. It's like, he's like, well, first off, like, no, he's abusing his son more and more every day with these, you know, with training and with teaching him to be a killer. Second of all, he's teaching his kid to be a killer. And third, you know, there's a lot better ways to go about it, you know? And it's kind of funny too, because you would think he's telling Mercury, this is a crutch, this makes you weak. But then he goes and uses that same crutch, that same weakness, to take his son's semblance from him. So it's like, I'm surprised Mercury wasn't like, you're literally a hypocrite, you know? So yeah, Mercury had it rough, that's for sure. We already kind of knew that as well, based on the songs. Like, I'm the One kind of talks a bit about his father being a drunk and being abusive. And he also mentioned in volume 3, like, oh, you know, smelled like my dad after a long day, right? Basically, implying that his father was an alcoholic. And, you know, you put 2 and 2 together, and you can easily tell that Mercury didn't have it easy growing up. And even more so now that he had to, like, work harder than everyone else to get to where he is. I have a lot of respect for him. And it's obviously, it's very understandable why, despite the situation and despite, you know, Cinder and everything else like that, he still chooses to be around the same crowd, because he doesn't know any better. He doesn't know that's his. And it's like, and honestly, Tyrian was like spitting some hot truths, some hot takes that I was just like, you know what? I agree with you. He was quite literally like, hey, all you've known your whole life is misery and pain, and now you're too afraid to leave it, because when you get comfortable with something, or when you've been around something for so long, it's hard. It's like a habit. It's hard to break, you know? I'm not saying we have to protect Mercury. I'm saying, like, I understand why Mercury has, like, this front. It's not even a front. I don't know what to call it. But, like, he's very much about, I won't say pride either. It's just like, he knows what he's about. It's like, I'm going to do what it takes. I'm strong enough to overcome anything. And, you know, and I feel fine around the people that I'm with right now. But he doesn't know that there's something better than that, because this is all he knows, essentially. So yeah, I kind of feel for Mercury a little bit. Emerald I feel for as well, but it's more of like a sense of pity as well. Because it's like, she doesn't know any, that's just the thing. They don't know any better, right? You don't know, Emerald doesn't know any better, because her life really started after Cinder came along. Mercury doesn't know any better, because, you know, he lived his whole life fighting and learning to kill, and then finally killing, and then being recruited to do more killing. And he just revels in it. He's like, yo, I'm catching all of this. This is great. This is awesome. And, you know, they have no one to come over and just be like, look, there's a life beyond this. There's a life where you don't have to, you know, you don't have to be afraid of anybody, or you know, it's like what the person in the chat said. They just need someone to love them, damn it. Stephen Fox, you might get it, but it's a discussion, and I'm also kind of reflecting my thoughts as well, so I'm gonna take my time. But yeah, and then yeah, this right here, this is the sibling rivalry that I was talking about. These two are kind of going at it right now. But at the same time, Mercury was there to defend Emerald.
Also, it's somewhat nice that he's not discouraging Mercury and Emerald from leaving, though he implies that they can't, and honestly tries to help them. He's slowly becoming my second favorite villain of RWBY.
I don't think he's helping anybody. Just saying. Like, Tyrion's kind of like playing with his food right now. Like, he doesn't give a shit what happens to these two. He's like, yo, do what you want. I don't care, because I know, like, Tyrion is doing it all for Salem. Like, no matter what. Like, Tyrion does what makes him happy, because if it makes Salem happy, he's happy. Right? But no, like, this right here is what I was talking about, like, the sibling rivalry. Like, them two have known each other for as long as they've been around, and, right, like, it's very clear that Mercury cares for Emerald. Because when Tyrion came around and was, like, talking smack to her, to Emerald, like, Tyrion was like, oh, back off, freak. Like, he always had Emerald's back. And right here, it's just, like, there's just a difference of opinion going on. Like, they both have different viewpoints, and they're kind of clashing right now, and this is their way of kind of dealing with it. Also, Emerald would get bodied by Mercury hand to hand, but Emerald's semblance would kind of cripple Mercury. No pun intended for the fact that he doesn't have legs, but, like, realistically, she could put this guy in a genjutsu and just call it a day if she wanted to. But yeah, this right here, this is them two just saying, hey, I love you, but you're kind of pissing me off right now. So, very understandable. And then you got Tyrion, who comes back with a brand new tale. I'm so happy. I'm surprised that it took Watts this long to put it together. But then again, Watts was doing, like, his own business in Volume 5. Let's see. I ship M and Merc. Hey, technically that's not a bad thing either, because in Volume 2, like, Mercury was kind of pissing off Emerald, and Mercury's like, whatever, you want me. And it's like, Mercury, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, do you actually have a thing for her, or was you just playing around, or whatever the case might be? It could go either way for both of them. It just depends on, like, what they want out of all of this, you know? So, Tyrion shows up. Oh my god. Tyrion, any scene that Tyrion's in, it's such a treat. It's such a treat to just hear him speak. He speaks, like, he's somewhat eloquent, but at the same time very, like, off his hinges and not that stable, but at the same time, you can't help but listen to him because he knows what the fuck he's talking about. First off, I really like his new tail. Mechanical to an extent, shoots out poison. Well, I don't know if it shoots out poison, like a poison sting, like a Pokemon move or something. But he has a new tail. He has the poison that he can utilize again. Someone in the chat or someone in the super chat mentioned, like, they hope it's a gun. So hopefully his tail is also a gun, which would be kind of interesting. I mentioned that in my Discord discussion. I was like, I wonder if his tail, like, transforms or turns into something, because it is kind of mechanized. Yeah, his new tail looks sick. His new tail looks so awesome. Let's see. Tyrion used poison jab. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it was great to have him back. Being cocky, being arrogant, like, basically kind of, like, talking shit to Mercury, waiting, because he knows he's going to get a reaction out of him, and then he immediately just puts his ass on the ground, and it's super, super crazy and cool and funny to just see Tyrion in a scene. And the second he said this, I was like, I could not agree more with this man. He literally says, you're asking the wrong questions. What you have to gain? It's like, if you don't enjoy what you love doing, you're in the wrong field. And I couldn't agree more with that. Like, that's kind of like one of the philosophies of life, I think. And that's obviously, it's a very different way of looking at things in the world of Remnant versus, like, real world, because a lot of people do things that they don't like doing, but they do it because they're in that position where it either gives them the most amount of money, or it allows them to pay their bills, support their family, keep a roof over their head, keep food in their mouth, keep lights on, and stuff like that. So not everyone is fortunate enough to be in a position where they're doing what they love and reaping the benefits as, like, a bonus to already doing something that they enjoy, right? Like myself, like, and I related to that too, because, like, I love the fact that I'm able to record videos, edit videos, upload videos, and do, you know, gaming streams and stuff like that, as, you know, for my job, because the community enables and supports the content and allows me to be able to do that, and helps me grow as a result. So, like, that's the one thing that I'm just like, you know what, Tyrian, you're kind of an asshole at times, but it's not like we can't agree with everything that you've been saying. So I really did like that, and that gave them two a new, it's crazy for me to say too, but gave them something to think about that I guess neither one of them considered initially, which is do what makes you happy. And it's hard for him to say that because, like, Emerald even mentions, he's like, what, does that mean we leave? And he looked so concerned when she said that. She was like, so what? Should we leave? And he looks concerned, and then he starts laughing and saying, oh, no, you can't leave. No, you can't leave. Like, quite literally, if you leave, Salem will kill you. Like, there is no leaving. It's making the most out of what you have and being happy with doing whatever it is that you're trying to do, which is kind of a little ass backwards to say, because if they don't love what they're doing, then yeah, they have to leave Salem and they have to leave Cinder to go and do what if Emerald wants to open a bakery? What if Mercury wants to open a boot store? They can't do that working with Salem. And, you know, if that's what they love, then, and you're telling them, oh, you can't leave, then it's like, what the fuck? That's two different things you're preaching right now. Yeah, there's no leaving Salem. They cannot leave her. And if they do, there's consequences and repercussions to be had. Yeah, I think Tyrian is also playing with his food a little bit right now, because he's like, I know that Salem won't let them leave, but let me just put that into their heads, and maybe I'll have a little entertainment when I come back. Like, Salem trying to get them to stay, and they want to leave, and dealing with her. You know what I mean? Like, he's just, they're playthings, plastic soldiers and pawns. Like, he doesn't give a shit about anyone but Salem. So he's messing around with them right now, I think. You're right, Tyrion's playing with his food. He'll be happy if they serve Salem, and happy if he has to hunt them down and kill them if they leave. Exactly. Tyrion's all in for the thrill of the fight, the thrill of the hunt, and everything else. But yeah. There's a snake in my boot. Yeah. No, I mean, I was being serious there. Like, hell yeah, like, open up a freaking, like, do what makes you happy. We don't know what makes these characters happy because they're, like, they're living someone else's dream. They're helping Cinder with her goals instead of thinking about themselves. And incredibly short-sighted to what their life could be like.
Store. Ha. I am curious as to how Watts and Tyrian will get into Atlas. Perhaps Watts is not the disgraced scientist we were led to believe.
I think he's still a disgraced Elysian scientist. The difference is he might still have people on the inside who are willing to help him, or he might still have credentials that can grant him access to Atlas, whichever comes first. Or, this would be really funny, what if Qrow is his mom? Like, what if his mom, like, that'd be so funny. Imagine that interaction, especially since Watts is lanky and super tall and Qrow's, like, super short. Like, what if, like, that's his mom and she's just like, yeah, you can go to Atlas. That would just be so fucking weird and, like, goofy and, I don't know. It would be very odd. But it would make sense. Like, he has to have some way of getting in there. He knows the Atlas tech, so him hacking into the mainframe or him stowing away or stealing an airship, that doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility for him. He's also a tinkerer of sorts, so I wouldn't be surprised if he has his own means of getting there, like his own bots, his own airships, his own creations that he can use that are based on Atlas technology. And if it's based on Atlas tech, there's also a way he can also make countermeasures to prevent, like, Atlas military from I guess, infiltrating or hacking into his technology. And he seems to be a lot smarter and on the up and up compared to them, because if he created the Black Queen virus, he very well knows the infrastructure and how to bypass a lot of their security. You know, if Volume 2 and 3 is any indication of that. Such wit! Such tenacity! Yeah. Let's see. Huh. I noticed his new tail goes to the base, so they had to cut off the rest. I mean, I didn't really notice that actually, so I can't really give any input on that. But I remember there was an original, yeah, his original, like, he had like a thimble on his old tail. So based on how they work, I mean, I don't know. He had to obviously have some a surgery of some sort to make that work. So I just really like this whole opening scene. And he's over here, he's like, yep, I'm here to wish you guys farewell. So again, he's like, he could have easily walked into the room and be like, hey, we're leaving, bye losers. But then he comes in and he's just like, he's messing around with them before he goes. Because he's like, you know, when I get back, hopefully you guys are gone so I can hunt you guys down too. And he's slipping some poison in their ear, getting them to do that. So when Salem's like, hey, I need you to go hunt down these two, he'll be the first one to be like chopping at the bit to do it. So he's messing around. I liked this scene too right here. I'm a sucker for lighting, as I've always mentioned, so the rays of light beaming into the room, that's my jam right there. So I really liked that. And you got Arthur Watts. So them two are working their way to Atlas now, which is going to be really fun to see the rematch between Qrow and Tyrian, or Qrow, or what the words Tyrion's gonna have for RWBY this time around if he called her a bitch back then. And I wonder if she's gonna try to cut his tail off again, but this time it's made of like metal or steel or whatever, so that's not gonna be as easy. And now he has Watts, so he's got big brain on his side. And, you know, whatever he has cooked up, whether it's, you know, technology or whatever the case might be. But I don't know if Hazel's gonna go with him. I know it's just Tyrian and the Doctor. We don't know what Hazel's up to right now. Hazel's off doing his own thing right now. Hazel's by himself. So if Hazel ends up going with them, that, you know, that's an extra added effort to the cause. And but they might try to be subtle about it. They might try to be subtle about trying to get to Atlas. The fewer people, the better. Cinder's also working her way there with Neo, but they don't know that. So by proxy, that's just more forces to help them out in the long run. And, you know, we just have to wait and see how things plan out for them. The big brain and the crazy brain. Yeah, it's like crazy hands and master hands, like the two sides of creation. It's a nice parallel. I wonder how these two interact with each other. It's a good thing that it's them two, because Cinder, it seems like everyone here hates Cinder, or can't stand her at the very least. Like, Watts can't, Tyrion's like, whatever. So these two working together is going to be interesting if they have any extended dynamic before they get on with the plan. But yeah, this right here, he's like, and he says it again right here too, he's like, do what makes you happy. Please do what makes you happy, so it can make me happy to hunt your asses down. Again, playing with his food. No more death, please. I don't know. I'm really excited to see how these next few episodes go, because there's gonna be a lot of shit going down in Argus more than anything. Argus in the military base over the next 5 chapters is gonna be insane, because the goal is Atlas. They got to get through this military base, right? Like, Jean and company are thinking about, well, if they use the distraction of the villains' attack on the military base to get to an airship, that would work. But it's like everyone's gonna be, you know, basically everyone's gonna want dibs on a way of getting there. And then you're gonna have Atlas that's gonna be on edge. They're gonna be like, war on everybody. We can't trust anyone. We're too high strung. There's too much negativity and craziness going on. Oh, yeah. So chapter 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm sorry, 4 chapters left, not 5. Yeah, there's only 13 chapters, guys. My bad. I said 5 by mistake. But yeah, so overall, I really liked this opening chapter. This opening scene of the chapter, just because, again, we get a little bit more of the motivations and kind of like what drives Emerald and Mercury for different reasons. For Emerald, it's Cinder. For Mercury, it's the life, you know, his lifestyle and the way that he's been brought up, and it's still a continuing trend. And then Tyrian comes in, spices things up a bit. It's probably going to make things interesting moving forward, and kind of sets up for what's going to be happening over the next couple of chapters with Argus and the military base and getting to Atlas. I can't wait to see what the next relic is. The relic of creation. I wonder what that is, and I wonder what that represents. If there's a being that like Jin, but for the relic, or if it's just a straight up weapon. That'd be really. I can't wait. Can't wait to see Atlas. Atlas is gonna be so important. There's so much foundation. There's so much history. There's so much already set up for Atlas that we have. Like Atlas is, I think, has to be the most dense of the kingdoms that we learn about and get history and get information and learn the most about, because we have the Shani Dust Company. We have Winter that's back there. We have more of Whitley's development. Obviously, Jacques, the mother that we haven't even seen yet. We have Penny's father. We have, is Penny going to be referenced? Are there other Pennies out there? We have Ironwood. We have Atlas Academy, Team Funky. We have the Relic. There's so much shit that we have to get through. There's so much stuff we have to get through for Atlas in general before we leave to go anywhere else. And then obviously you have Weiss's whole struggle with with being back home and that whole thing and how that's gonna pan out. Ironwood and dealing with whatever his mental state is, because he doesn't seem to be all that there in the head. There's so much. Faunus discrimination, Mantle being a part of everything. Oh boy. We have to stay in Atlas for like at least 2 volumes. At least 2 volumes, I think, to get all of that. Not to mention any new shit they added, new characters, the rest of Team Funky. I don't know. There's so much in Atlas in general. Atlas also has the first CCT. The one in Atlas is bigger than the other ones because it was the first one they made. But God, man, there's so much stuff in Atlas. It's crazy. So I'm looking forward to it whenever that time actually happens. And then we switch gears. Oscar's missing. Jean's an asshole. And we're on a search party. So this was, I really, so the one thing I took away from this, like, immediately was how much I love Argus as, like, a location, as a city. It's way better than any location, like, in terms of, like, an actual city, and actually an actual place that has people and civilians and inhabitants, and it feels alive, it feels real, and it looks even alive. It's alive at night, especially. I really, 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 really liked this, this, like, night prowling, this night walking, as they're kind of talking and discussing everything, kind of tiptoeing around Saffron, like the real issue at hand. But we all know that Jean is to blame, because, I mean, he wasn't to blame for Oscar leaving. I guess Oscar just went out for a little bit to kind of be by himself, and they immediately took it as, it's all Jean's fault why Oscar left, which I guess you could say that was initially, but he immediately came back. And then he went and got clothes, and he got food, and he prepared, and everything else. So, let's see. So I'm reading the chat really quick. I feel like Penny is either a product or houses the relic of creation, which is why she is the only synthetic being with aura. We'll find out for sure. Her father, too, Mr. Geppetto. I'm wondering if we're going to see him, like, fully. He's like the Dr. Light of the show, he's the Dr. Light Geppetto hybrid that created Penny, who is a reference to Pinocchio. So there has to be something there. Something. They have to mention Penny again. Especially since Ruby's talked about her a few times. Let's see. I mean, I'm not going to blame... I mean, Jean blames himself, so if Jean's willing to blame himself, you bet your ass I'm gonna blame him. Like, he has a lot on his mind, but that doesn't dismiss him from, like, realizing that Oscar isn't your enemy. Oscar isn't... Yeah, no, like, it's very clear that that Jean was way out of line. Way out of line. So, but I mean, that's obviously established already. And again, like I said, I love the environments of Argus. I love this place so much. I hope, if anything, I hope all of the places that we go to can be as fleshed out or as interesting or as lifelike as Argus can. Because I guess it took all of the volumes to get to this point, be it criticism, be it feedback, be it just internal growth, or you know, Miles and Carrie having more people to look at the script, or more hands on the script, or more writers. But now that we're at this point, I feel like Volume 6 is going to become the new standard for what future volumes can be, based on the fact that it's so good. And it improves so much in almost every department from where previous volumes or maybe even Volume 5 didn't really meet expectations or really meet standards for fans, at least. So at the very least, I'd really love if other places like Atlas, or maybe even places that are on Solitas, can be just as fleshed out, just as meaningful as this place. Because I can't tell you guys, I can't emphasize enough how much I love how real this place is. It's more real than Vale. It's more real, way more real than Mistral, because that place doesn't even exist in my mind. And it's sad to say that, but it really doesn't exist in my mind because there's no visual representation of this place. But Argus is the most lifelike thing in this show, that has like a sense of I don't know, just people living, and you know, just having it like a community of people, and just the city. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I feel like I'm rambling at this point, but hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, Volume 6 is such a great volume, and they're doing everything right. I have very little complaints, if any. And it's crazy. And when you look at it, it's like night and day. It's like night and day from previous works. But yeah, so again, I liked it. And we got the follow-up scene here, Jean feeling bad, down in the dumps. I noticed during my reaction the sign there that says new memorial now open, and like the city of Argus. And then, you know, we see the Leaf, and he just doesn't want any, like, they're like, oh, we'll go get something warm, we'll go get some coffee, or some hot cocoa, or whatever it was. I think they said there's a cafe, let's go get something warm. So I'd like to think they got hot cocoa, but you know, coffee's always on the agenda, decaf, just because it's nighttime already. But yeah. So the memorial was already there. I didn't put it together until the Leaf came through. So, you know, I was like, oh my gosh, the Leaf. And it reminded me because in Volume 3, when Pyrrha goes to talk to Jean, and they're like laying down not laying down, but when they're like sitting down together, and, you know, she has the cotton candy, you know, and she's just trying to talk to him. The two leaves blow together, and they rest on each other, like on the ground, and that's what it reminded me of. And then there's another leaf that falls off the tree at the end of Volume 3, like the last episode, that falls off the tree, and then winter comes. So like the snow ends up coming through. The last leaf on the tree falls, and then we see it again here, and that symbolizes Pyrrha. And then you hear the OST start playing, and at this point I was like, new memorial, Leaf. I was like, they're gonna do this, aren't they? And in a way, I felt like I knew what was coming, because of the fact that this was one of the most heavily requested things that fans wanted to see. Closure. They wanted to see, in some way, shape, or form, Pyrrha's family knowing, acknowledging, or Jean going to her family and being like, hey, your daughter didn't survive. here's what we have left of her, like her armor or whatever, but at this point it's melded with Jean's weapon, so that's not possible. So I think this was the best that they could have done. This is quite literally, I think, the best that they could have done, and the music that plays tore me apart. And it was crazy too, because those instrumentals, right, the instrumentals that they used for the song, which, if you guys don't know, the song is called Forever Fall. I believe Flint of RWBY, who I think is in the chat right now, he has an incomplete version with some of the lyrics that are up right now on his channel. The song is called Forever Fall, which is baffling to me. Like, I can't tell you guys, because I love Forever. Like, I have been preaching for years that Forever Fall is my favorite location in this show. Like, in the world of Remnant, Forever Falls, I love that place to death. It's so beautiful. And I hope I see it again at some point in the future within the Maya engine, and they make a fucking song based on that because of Pyrrha. I'm like, this couldn't be more Destiny. It can't get more Destiny than that. But yeah, the music starts playing. You see Jean's reaction. And I'm a mess at this point. Like, I'm a fucking mess at this point. And I mentioned it too. Like, I'm obviously going to be reiterating a little bit. I'm going to be reiterating a little bit, but you know, like, Volume 3 is when she died, and that hit me the most, and a lot of people. And then Volume 4, Chapter 2 happened, and it's like, remember, Pyrrha died, and it was just as bad, because I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting it that soon either, right? Like, the training video, and hearing her voice again, and seeing her in the volume, seeing her in the Poser engine when they're in the Maya engine, so it's like even more solidified that she's in the past and she's dead and she's not coming back. And then you see Jean's reactions in Volume 5, you know, basically proclaiming revenge on Pyrrha to Cinder. And then we get this, which is the closest thing to the family closure that we could have gotten for Jean, for her family, and for the viewers. I think this worked out really, really, really well for the RWBY. Not just for the RWBY, but also, like, the best that they could have worked with what they were envisioning and what the fans wanted. So yeah, I really liked it. I don't really know if I can say more than that. Like, I really, really liked this scene. Oh yeah, and then it shows the engraving in memory, or in honor, what does that say, in memory or in honor of Pyrrha Nikos, one of the students who fought valiantly at the fall of Beacon. And it's crazy too, because they go into a little bit of history about Pyrrha. Like, we already knew she was from Mistral to an extent, and she went to Sanctum Academy. She graduated top of her class, and then we found out that Sanctum is actually in this area of Argus, and that's where she went. And, you know, people loved her. She was basically a celebrity. She was in she was in the Mistral regional tournament. She won that. She's on the face of Serial. She's well known by her peers and her friends and everybody. And then she goes to a completely different school and starts a whole new life and meets people that don't even know who she is, and it makes her feel normal. You know, because you can only imagine being a celebrity and people putting you on a pedestal, as she mentioned. It's very clear to see why, to the point where the redheaded woman even said, like, people were heartbroken when she chose Beacon over Haven. And in our minds now, we can see why that is. You know, it's like, I'd rather go somewhere else where nobody knows me and I can feel normal for a change, versus versus staying where I am. Man. And then they hit us with this, man. Then they hit us with this. The red-headed woman. Adding insult to injury. You know who this woman is? This woman is Red from Transistor. I posted this on Twitter. But for those of you who don't know, this figurine is a character named Red. She is from a video game that I love to death called Transistor. It originally came out on the PlayStation 4. It's by an indie developer called Supergiant Games, one of my favorite indie devs of all time. And they came out with the game Transistor, which is one of my favorite video games of all time at this point. And I got it on the PS4. I platinumed it on the PS4. I got it on the Switch. I got it on Steam. Love this game. And the second I saw her, I was like, why does she look like Red? Her jacket, her red hair. She's got blue eyes. She's got blue eyes, but she has green eyes. But I just thought, I wouldn't be surprised if they based at least the outfit and everything. And even like the jacket color scheme, like it all kind of works and fits. But yeah, this is Red from Transistor. Love her to death. And that's what it immediately reminded me of. I was like, why does she look like Red? Yeah, I mean, of course, different eye color because, you know, they're trying to push the idea. I'm saying, like, the design could be an inspiration of Red. I'm not saying that it is, but that's what it reminded me of. But they give this red-headed woman the voice of Pyrrha Nikos.
John standing in front of Pyrrha's statue echoes Salem standing in front of Ozma's statue in the opening. I think your duality theory might have some weight.
I hope so. I put a lot of work into that theory, and it did really well, honestly. I think that's a little... I'd like to think so. I'd like to think so.
The makers of Transistor also made Bastion, a game I love to death. Speaking of games, do you think RWBY Grim Eclipse could get a console release?
You're joking, right? I hope you're joking. RWBY Grim Eclipse has been on PS4 and Xbox One for years. That game's been on console for you. That's how I first played Grim Eclipse. They've been on PS4 and Xbox One for like 3 years now, I want to say. But yeah, they also make Bastion and they make Pyre, and they're recently working on a new game called Hades. But I love Transistor more than any of those other games. When will your reaction be out? Same time as always, every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Not 3 years, more like 1, 2. Yeah, I think... Oh, you meant on the Switch.
I meant Switch.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't know that when you said, do you think RWBY Grim Eclipse could get a console release? I mean, if it comes out... they said they have no plans on putting it out to the Switch. Someone asked that in one of their most recent streams, but no, they have no plans on it being on the Switch. It's on Xbox One, it's on PS4, and it's on PC, so it's on most of the consoles that are already out there that most people have. I love Transistor, but my laptop can't handle it. I see the resemblance, though. Maybe she looks like Red. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be awesome. Like, that game's already cool in and of itself, and basing a character... it's not like you're basing the character off it. She looks more like Pyrrha's mom than anything. And that's the thing, too. So, Jen Brown voices this woman, who's obviously the voice of Pyrrha. She's got red hair like Pyrrha. She's got green eyes like Pyrrha. And what's interesting is that she's holding red spider lilies. Which red spider lilies are, like, they symbolize death, or there's there's several meanings behind the flower. Like, one of them is like they have death meanings, and they're also referred to as resurrection lilies or resurrection flowers. So some people. So let me ask you this really quick. Type 1 in the chat if you think this is like a relative of Pyrrha's, like a mother or a sister, or type 2 in the chat if you think this is like a ghost or a spirit or some type of like afterlife representation of Pyrrha. Because there are a lot of people who kind of like, I've seen a few theories around that suggest that, you know, the flowers and the fact that the woman immediately disappears and it sounds like Pyrrha, and they're both standing in front of her statue, and she's speaking almost as if that could be her or not. I don't know. They're Dutch lilies, aka tiger lilies. They represent the transience of life. Oh, okay. I've been seeing a bunch of, like, some people saying they're lilies, spider lilies. They look like spider lilies. Like, spider lilies are a bit thinner. So, it's kind of... I really wish, like, Miles and Carrie, or at least the RWBY, would, like, put out, like, a lot of the references. Like, exactly what kind of flowers are those, or what these characters are references to when the episodes come out, instead of having the fandom guess until they decided they want to say it. But yeah, and there's like a lot of other things too. Like, this could be like a state of Jean's mind grieving, and the leaf too is like leading him to this. And it's also apparent because the lesson that he, not really the lesson, but what he takes away from this conversation is then what he reflects to his team, and what allows all three of them to kind of talk about it and resolve the situation and kind of move forward together with Pyrrha's passing. And with, like, realizing that they have to stay together, they have to, like, help no matter what, and they have to at least try, just like Pyrrha tried, even though she probably felt like she wouldn't have made it. But, I was heartbroken. Like, you guys will see my reaction this weekend, but I was a fucking mess. I was a mess when I saw this.
Those kind of flowers actually represent motherhood.
That add another one to the list. These flowers represent so many things, apparently. But, like, I mean, it makes the most sense, for me at least, that it would be her mom. And she's talking about her daughter, and about how everyone liked her, and how she went to school there, and how she went to a different school, and it makes sense that she's paying respect to her daughter, bringing her flowers to the to the memorial, and, relaying to somebody else. And I'm pretty sure she knows who this kid is, too, because, the Vital Festival, for example, was broadcasted worldwide. They were on a team together. They fought in some of the rounds together, like Jean and Pyrrha. So it would make sense that he doesn't know who she is, but she knows who he is. But she doesn't outwardly say, oh, I'm Pyrrha's mom, I'm Pyrrha's whatever. They just have that conversation. And, I liked that, and that's something that Jean needed to hear, because he's been beating himself up for the past 3 volumes now, kind of carrying this burden with him, and kind of being like, I'm the one that's gonna exact revenge. You know what I mean? Like, it's been killing him, and now I think it's great that at the very least now he can have that part of that chapter of his life be put to rest, and, be grateful and thankful for everything that Pyrrha did for him as an individual, believing in him, making him a stronger fighter, a better person, a more confident person, and taking that and channeling it into his team and all the people that he meets and comes across. So, like, Pyrrha, like, changed his life for the better, and, unfortunately her life was cut short, but at the very least, I think it was still... I think I don't really see it as like, oh, Pyrrha died for Jean to develop. It was very much like, the one thing that killed me the most, the absolute most in this scene, was when she said a huntress would know that there was never really a choice to be made. And I said to myself, I was like, exactly. Like, Ozpin made the schools. No matter how you look at it, anyone's perception of a Huntsman Academy, whether they romanticize the idea, whether they fantasize about, like, oh, that's what I want to be when I grow up. Ozpin manifested that idea for you, because he created the schools, and he created this whole world system of huntsmen and huntresses and protecting people and fighting Grimm, despite the fact that nobody really knows that the Grimm will never stop coming, that Salem will never be defeated, that Ozpin can never defeat her, and that these people are going to eventually die, gives them false hope. But, like, that mindset that she had of, like, a huntress is always what she wanted to be, that never really came, that came from her because of Ozpin, you know? So even the choice of her wanting to be a huntress was something that, you know, it's like from a young age, she wanted to be a huntress. So like in his head, you know, at least in Ozpin's head, like the construct of these academies has been getting people to grow up to be these huntresses and huntsmen to fight for him when they don't even know what they're fighting for. You know? But I mean, I just thought that that was crazy that even she said it, because choice has been a word and it's been a phrase. Choice has been a word. It's been an idea. It's been something that, it's been a theme for a really long time. Like the idea of choice. Did anybody have a choice? There's theory videos about it. There's discussion videos about it. No, like there's, and she even says it, like there's no choice. There's only like the right thing to do, and that's to fight and to try whether you win or lose. And, you know, Ozpin created that illusion of choice. And it's like from a young age, like that's what Pyrrha always wanted to be a huntress. So Ozpin like robbed her of that choice from like an early age even. But I'm not going to sit here and say like that's Ozpin's goal. He wants to trick kids from a young age to get webbed into, like thrown into this web of lies and this web of conspiracy to eventually kill them. It's not like he's like, I want these kids to grow up and die. It's like, no, I want them to have hope. I don't want them to just be like, there's no point in trying because Salem can't be stopped. Like, he wanted to give them that level of hope, but at the same time, he's not practicing what he's preaching. He's saying one thing and then doing another. So, but yeah, I still think what he was doing, I understand the morality of what he is doing, but like, it's still pretty fucked up when you even think, even now, like the mother or whoever this lady is even was like, there was no choice. There was no choice. And it's very clear that there wasn't. So, and you could even say like Ozpin manipulated that idea of there was no choice, knowing that Pyrrha would choose what he wanted, not between yes or no. It was like, she's a huntress, she knows, I know what she's going to choose, and she knows what she's going to choose, so there was no choice. Anyways, I was heartbroken by that scene as well. And then again, this part here, where, it's like, was she ever even there? Obviously, I think she was there. I think this is an actual relative of hers. I want to say it's the mother, but because we didn't get the credits confirmation, someone at RTX, I hope, asks this question, and I hope they don't weasel around it like, oh, we want to leave it open-ended. It's like, come on, like, we get it. Like, the flowers represent it, the resemblance represents it. Like, was that a real person? Was that in John's head? Was it spiritual? You know, was that the mother? Is that a sister or something? I feel like they're gonna dodge it, but at the same time, I just want to be able to say that's Jean's mom, and I don't want someone to be like, well, technically, they never confirmed that. And it's like, I don't want to have to deal with that shit. Just give it to me straight. Is it the mother or is it not? You know? But until then, I'm gonna say that it's her mom. It just makes the most sense. And she left the flowers and dipped before Jean turned around to look where she was. Whether she used her semblance, or whether she's just like really fast on her feet, or whether that was a ghost, maybe that's the open-endedness that they want to kind of leave for us as viewers. But yeah, I thought this scene was really sweet, very heartbreaking. And I loved this moment too, like actually finally hearing what Team Juniper has to say about all of this, because we've only ever seen Jean's reaction. We've only ever seen Jean, how he feels about the situation. We're only led to assume that, you know, Ren and Nora are holding up a lot better than he is, but as the team leader, as his partner, you know, and as someone who actually had feelings for him, it's very easy to, it's understandable that they show more of that weight on Jean than anybody else. But, you know, I like the fact that Nora spoke up about it. Like, you know, we loved Pyrrha. We love you. We don't want to see you kill yourself or, you know, go down this path of self-destruction because you feel that it's your burden to bear. And I like how they were just all able to have that moment. And we're able to see that because we haven't seen that. We've never seen how all three of them feel about Pyrrha together. And, you know, they remember her for what she did, despite the fact that, you know, they were like, oh, you know, I think that she knew she wasn't going to live. And even if she didn't know, it's like she had a responsibility to try. And I like how the one-on-one conversation that he had with that woman reflected immediately to his team. And that was what they needed to kind of come back together after everything that happened with Oscar and you know, the truth coming out and everything like that. Because that was their whole thing. It's like, what's the point? But then you stop to think, well, what was the point of Pyrrha going to fight Cinder if there was no point? You know what I mean? It's like, Pyrrha died for nothing. It's like, no, she died trying. Like, trying. Even if you know you're not going to win, you still try. You never know what, you know what I mean? Like, what's that saying? Like, I don't know. It's something along the lines of like, well, like, people say it too in the lottery. It's like, at the very least, you won't win the lottery if you don't enter. So it's like you'll never win or succeed at anything if you don't even bother to try in general. So I liked this a lot. I like this scene a lot. And then he gives a last thank you to her. And I think this is where they're finally going to lay to rest Pyrrha and her immediate influence on Jean and his team and everything. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, they'll never bring her up again. They'll never talk to her again. But I still think that it's important to obviously remember her. But you know, up until this point, we've gotten snippets. Like I said, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 5, Volume 6. I think this is it. And I circled the airplane because I wonder if this is where he got the idea to steal an airship. Because it's just like, oh shit, there's an airship flying over, you know, in the sky, and he was like, oh, I have an idea. So I'm wondering if he simultaneously like was thanking Pyrrha, and then he looked at the airplane. He's like, and then like on the walk back to the house, he came up with it. But yeah, I still do feel a little bit bad for people who still think that Pyrrha's alive. Like, she teleported at the end of Volume 3. Like, people had like these crazy crackpot theories of Pyrrha still being alive, and I guess it's at this point, it's just like a form of coping or denial or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, like it's very, very clear. They wouldn't go to this extent to be like, gotcha, she's still alive, she's coming back. So yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Very heartbreaking. I was an absolute mess this entire scene. And then at the end of the episode too, I had to actually cut and then record the post discussion like a day later because I couldn't bring myself to like watch the episode again or even talk about it. I was so choked up at the end of the episode because they brought the music back and everything. I was done. But yeah, I liked it. I loved the scene. And I hope they stop doing this. I hope they stop reminding us, like, we get it. I don't want, I don't know. Like, I appreciate it, but at the same time, I hate, like, bawling my eyes out over something that's, like, so emotional that I can't control. Let's see. Argus Park is the in-universe version of the comment section of Cold OST video. It's where the fandom goes to cry. Oh, dear. Hey, sign me up. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with everybody else. Let's see. Off topic, Cinder. Alright, hold that thought.
She may not be with us anymore, but we can fight like she is. Yes. I feel like this was a pivotal moment. Gotta go back to work. Love you, Arnold.
Alright, Louis1541, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, very pivotal moment. Like, I think, again, like, the turning point for them as a team to move forward, to appreciate Pyrrha and her sacrifice, the sacrifice that she made, and realizing that her sacrifice mattered even if she didn't survive, and whatever happens to them is whatever, but at the very least, they gotta try as well. Let's see. Off topic, Cinder stole some of Amber's power, but got a tattoo or mark on her back. We didn't see Raven's back at all. Do you think other maidens have it? I think that was a branding because of the way that she got the power, which is from the Grimm. So, I think that's a Grimm branding. I think it's because she got the power because of that glove that had the Grimm on it. So that tattoo might be Grimm based. Because as you know as well, like, the Grimm have, like, these markings on their mask, like, on their faces and stuff like that. So it could be, like, the human equivalent. So that's at least what I think. And we haven't seen the tattoo on her back since then, so it could be evolving and changing as she evolves from being a simple human to evolving more with her Grimm arm and maybe other parts of her body as time goes on. But yeah. Let's see. At work, so I can't stay long, Bree T, but I just wanted to drop in and say hi. Can't wait to see your reaction to this episode. Gonna watch the whole thing later. All right, Bree, thank you so much. Hope you had a happy new year. Appreciate you stopping by and saying hi. If you're not in here right now, hi for when you come back to watch this whole thing later. Appreciate the support. Ending plot, Jean walks up to her memorial again at the end of RWBY with him being the one at the school's headmaster years later. Huh. Interesting. It's about to be Grand Theft Argus. Stop. Stop! Please stop with the memes and the puns and the jokes. Overall, really, really, really emotional scene. One that I definitely appreciated. And it's I think this is like the closing factor of Pyrrha and a big step and turning point for Jean more so than ever and his team. I think this was great for just Team Juniper to have, because obviously it's their teammate instead of it just being something that like RWBY and Blake and everyone else who we've never seen interact with Pyrrha have that moment. So I loved this. It was like the last Team Juniper moment because, you know, they're all together in this one scene. But yeah, I loved it. And again, like I said, you guys will see my reaction of it this weekend. Meanwhile, back at the house, Drunkle freaking Qrow and RWBY is pissed. RWBY's like, I'm fucking done with your bullshit, Uncle Qrow. You've been drinking ever since Brunswick Farms. You've been shit-faced out of your mind. RWBY just looks so done. And then you see Weiss in the background. She looks even more pissed off. And that's probably a reflection of the fact that she's probably like, look, I have a mother who drinks. I deal with this as well. And it's no easier for me to see my teammate go through it. So this shit's pissing me off just as much. Like, she was throwing the bottles of alcohol in Brunswick as well. Like, she was probably just like, fuck you, Mom. Like, this is what I think of your drinking habits and your alcohol abuse. So yeah, like, I'm starting to get a little bit... I mean, I understand, right? So I can't sit here and be like, damn, Uncle Qrow. Like, Qrow should just get over... You know, it's like, his whole life has been a lie. Right? Team RWBY and you know, Team RWBY and Team Juniper, they can resent Ozpin, sure. But that resentment only goes back no more than, what, 2 years. No more than 2 years. Since they went to Beacon. You know, he didn't start lying to them until they actually were in his system in the school. So, that's, you know, for them, it's very easy for them to forgive, not forget, but forgive and still, like, be on his side. But Qrow's been in this for years, since he was a kid, before they were born, with Summer Rose, Tai Yang, his sister, and probably even before that, like, when they were still, you know, when they were, like, bandits, like, Ozpin definitely had his eye on all of them. You know, so I can understand him taking it super fucking hard, like, my whole life. Swig. A lie. You know? So, yeah, I definitely feel bad for him. I just wish he would talk about it. I'm waiting for that now. Like, this whole time, people were like, oh my gosh, I want RWBY to develop. I want RWBY to get character development and all this stuff. And now she's getting it. And now the next character I want to open their mouth and say something and talk and open up about their feelings and their past and how they're feeling about everything is Uncle Qrow. Because I think he's going to be a big key point in a lot of like the Team Stark stuff, especially since he's a relevant character who's been relevant for the last few volumes. You know, Raven's no longer in the picture, Tai Yang's still back at home, and Summer Rose is gone. So I really would love for him to start opening up. And RWBY kind of left that door open. She was like, you know, you can talk to me about stuff. You can talk to Yang about stuff. Even if it's stuff that they can't relate to. Or maybe it's stuff that he prefers that they just don't know about because it has to do with, you know, Summer. Or, you know, just shit that he's not proud of. You know, because he was a bandit and he used to kill people and shit like that. And steal and whatnot. But I that's who I really want it from now. Like, Qrow initially, it's like, yeah, you're super cool. You use a scythe. You're a drunk uncle. It's super fun and crazy. And I love you just because of all of those things. But now it's like it's getting more grounded, more serious. I'm more invested in him as a character and the shit that he goes through and how he deals with it. And I just want him to open up and talk a lot more. Especially since Ozpin isn't around. It's a better time than any to kind of... And everyone else has done that, I think. I think everyone else is kind of, you know, for the most part, is on the same page, except for him right now. So, let's see. I love RWBY's new grumpy cat expression. All of the team has gotten great ones this volume. I feel for Qrow, but those faces are so memeable. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
When Qrow was laying on the stairs, it reminded me of a friend who's been sober for the last 3 years. Long story short, a mutual friend of ours drove drunk and sadly died when colliding with a tree at 70 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I hope Qrow sobers up soon.
That's why I think it's so much more serious for Qrow as a character, because it's like, and I mentioned this a few discussions before, but like alcohol abuse and being an alcoholic, that's like real for people. That's like a real thing that's serious, and it's not like a playful volume 1, 2, and 3 joke anymore. And like it's a lot more closer to home for some people than others. You know, I'm sorry to hear that about your friend, but like that's, in a way, I don't think it's that bad in RWBY. Obviously it's a lot more realistic in our world, but that's still the alcoholic implications are still there. Like he's drinking to cope with something that could be easily fixed if he just communicated and talked and coped and healed naturally, instead of having this crutch of alcohol to get him through his problems. You know? So at the very least, I like, again, like I said, I love the direction they're going with Qrow. I love that RWBY's getting more upset with him, and it's forcing RWBY to develop a lot more because she doesn't have Qrow to help her. She doesn't have Ozpin telling her what to do. You know, even though, like, the speech that she said at the time when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, RWBY, you're being a leader. But then in hindsight, I was like, ew, like, RWBY, what are you talking about? You know? So, again, I love the direction they're taking Qrow. You know, he's still the cool, lovable uncle, but at the same time, that doesn't change the fact that he's not a perfect character. He has his fair share of shit, and now that the shift of the show has changed, the theme has changed, the tonal shift has changed, these themes that we haven't really been exploring, like Barbara said too, are getting explored, and I love it. And they just need a little bit more for Qrow. Like, Qrow got a little upset too. He was like, look, just stop. Just stop. And RWBY was like, no. And I like that she did that, because it's like, it's very easy to just listen to adults and just give in. But I like how she was just like, no, I'm still going to hear him out. We're going to go through with it, whether you want to or not. So I like that RWBY's actually like taking the reins at this point. But yeah, and then on this scene right here, everyone's on board. Everyone's together. Team Juniper's found their resolve. Team RWBY's all on board. And, you know, they kind of like found themselves on that walk. And then, the biggest debate ever, Oscar was home the whole time. Well, he wasn't home the whole time, but it's like, these people literally went out to look for you.
My son went from a farm boy to a prince. He literally went from rags to riches. I am such a proud mother. Hashtag Oscar Pine Protection Squad. Hashtag Stop the Oscar Abuse 2019. Is it just me, or did Oscar look hot in his new clothes?
Oh boy.
Or maybe he was just pining for attention. 13 months of awesomeness, BTW.
Thank you very much, Shane, for the 13-month resub on Twitch. Appreciate it very, very much. I also appreciate the puns. Also, he's 14 years old. Let's relax. Let's relax. FBI, get on the ground. No, in all seriousness, though, I love Oscar's new outfit. I love the boots. I think the boots are like the best part of the outfit. But I fucking love I love his outfit, man. And it was such a surprise, too, because it's like, oh my gosh, this guy looks like a rundown farmer kid. Still, even now, everybody else in the group has new duds, but him. You know, obviously Qrow doesn't really need new duds, but, like, I am so happy. I'm so happy that Oscar's is stepping up. And I mean, he said it in the past too. He's like, you know, I'm scared, and you know, I don't know what's gonna happen. And even after getting that full story, you know, Volume 5 too, he was like, he was on board. You know, he agreed to, you know, to kind of go with to go with Ozpin to fight and to help them out when he could. But I think now is like, it's like, all right, Oscar, you've been a little finicky here and there in the past. Like you've said you've understood in the past, and you've tried to make that happen and make it work. Obviously, what he found out now, it wasn't as big.
Sorry for this completely out of nowhere question, but do you think RWBY characters will make their way into other games other than BlazBlue? I'm really hoping for them to make their way into Smash.
No, I don't think so.
I love the collar of Oscar's jacket.
Yeah, it's like all the way up, like above his neck. But no, I don't think they'll be in any other video games, personally. Especially not Smash Brothers. RWBY's too much of a niche to be in Smash. In my opinion. You know, never say never, but like, BlazBlue was very different. The director of BlazBlue has been a RWBY fan for years, like, and even has mentioned it in past interviews. Whereas Smash Brothers isn't, RWBY is not that mainstream, at least not in the US. So yeah. Let's see. But yeah, I was very, like I said at the beginning of the discussion, I'm a sucker for like new outfits. If you give me a new outfit, new gear, a sign of progress, as Ren would say, I eat that shit up. And I loved seeing this. It was so freaking awesome, man. And it was so unexpected too. I wasn't expecting to see Oscar like in some new duds. I loved it. Just wanted to wish you a happy belated New Year's. I'd have done it sooner, but I was in the middle of work. Hashtag Tyrian is best psychopath. William Pendragon, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Glad to have you back in the chat, my friend. Happy belated New Year's to you as well. I know we're only 3 days into the new year, but hopefully it's going well for all of you. This also gave me a little bit of Ozpin vibes. I think it's because the shade of green. Like it's okay. It's Ozpin. He's gonna be wearing green at some point. Or maybe it's just, you know, some of Ozpin is rubbing off on, like, Ozpin's mannerisms or tastes, even, maybe when it comes to clothing, is rubbing off on him. God, he looks so fucking cool, man. He looks so awesome. I love how he still has his farmer gloves. Are those his farmer gloves he's still wearing? He's like, all right, I'm still a farmer at heart, so I gotta hold on to something. I'm pretty sure those are his farmer gloves he's still wearing, the orange ones. Let's see. Are those gloves way more vibrant than before? I don't know if they're the exact same ones. But I mean, they're gloves nonetheless. He's like, you know. Oh, hold on. What the heck? I forgot to take off this one image, like, at the beginning of the discussion. Alright, so I think this was the faces that thing in the chat was mentioning earlier, like these memeable faces. But yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, we were worried sick. Are you okay? What are you wearing? Nora's expression reminds me of like the thinking like emote. I kind of want to make an emote for that now for Twitch. Like, I want to change the Nora laughing one to like Nora doing, like, make the derpy like Mimi like thinking emote. I think that'd be so funny. Yeah, there you go. That one. The one you guys are putting in the chat. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Yeah, the thinking emote. There you go. Here are my thoughts. I got a Zoom vibe from this, plus Ozma and Oscar have the same voice actor. Well, yeah. Aaron Dismuke. Oh my god, Aaron Dismuke does such a great job. And he does a really good job at voicing like Ozpin when he's controlling Oscar, like the way that he talks. I forgot what the word is. He's able to copy Ozpin's like articulation very well. But yeah, I think these are really great shots. And I think this is a very good representation of the fandom as well, when it came to, like, wondering if Oscar's okay, especially Oscar fans. Like, my friend Sunny, she, like, loves Oscar and Ren, for example, but, like, I know how much she cares about Oscar, and she's, like, cosplayed as him before, so I can only imagine. And just, like, the whole Oscar protection squad, like, everyone who cares a lot about Oscar, like, that, this is, like, an encapsulation of their emotions in, like, in physical form. Yeah, Miraculous Corazon especially. Also, Miraculous, I'm sorry. I know, like, I made that meme video a few weeks back where, like, it was like, Cute Boy Oz, like, my shit posting video, and I told you, I was like, oh, I'm making a video, I think you'll like it, and then you commented, and you were like, yeah, I hate it, because it was basically just Oscar getting punched over and over again. But, it was all in good fun, I promise. And I hope you can at least enjoy that aspect of it. She didn't like the punchline. There you go. But yeah. I really liked I liked this chapter a lot. There's so many aspects of it that were just that I just appreciated. You know? Oscar's a character that has really grown into his own, and that's a character that I think he was the character I was most looking forward to, especially in Volume 5, and then we see him, like, fighting and stuff like that, and standing up to people like Leo, and having more of a resolve to kind of help the squad and get stuff done. But yeah, I think Oscar, like, and I still feel like the best is yet to come for Oscar. I like how finally Jean apologizes, right? Like, it was definitely your fault. Even if he didn't leave for, like, if he didn't, like, legitimately, like, run away, like, I never want to see them again. How could he say that to me? You know, he took it very well, very maturely. He was like, look, what you said, I was thinking just as much. I don't really hold you accountable. I don't really, you know, resent you for lashing out the way you did. And John was very understanding and very upfront about the fact that, yeah, he was an asshole and he shouldn't have done what he did. And more so, he shouldn't have taken it out on somebody else who had nothing to do with any of this. He's thrown into it just like everyone else, if not worse than everybody else. But I liked that. I liked how this was done very well. Jean owning up to it, Oscar kind of relaying and being very mature about the situation too. He's the youngest of everybody. He's the youngest known character. And he's like, look, I don't even know if I'm going to be me for much longer. But up until then, I'm going to do as much as I can to help. And, you know, that's very... I wonder when that's going to be. I wonder what that's going to look like. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder... God, man, that's going to be such a bug out. We're going to have to start calling Oscar Ozpin. And we already have the whole Ozma thing going on. And we still call him Ozpin. Are we going to call Ozpin Oscar from now on? Like, that's another thing I was talking to a bunch of friends of mine. It's like, has Ozpin... Like, when did Ozma become Ozpin? You know what I mean? Did he adopt the names of his previous incarnations once he takes them over to assume their identity? You know what I mean? Like, that in of itself is such a mind fuck.
Did you notice on Oscar's new outfit, he's taken inspiration from everyone else's outfit and made it his own? Such as Ruby's cape/arm straps, Jean/Nora's boots, etc. Though mainly Ruby inspired.
Interesting. Ren's color. The color of Ren's gear looks a lot like his. That's super cool. That's super cool. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's been around these people for a while now. It would make sense if he based his gear around theirs. He merges, not takes over. I beg to differ. They're already merged right now. Like, Ozma is gonna take over. It's very clear that that's gonna be the case. Like, because even if you want to say that, the previous version of Ozpin, there was no indication that there was another person in there. Even now, like, I don't know. I don't think that that's the case. I mean, the souls are already merged now, but, like, the consciousness is, like, one's gonna, like, Oscar saying is, like, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be me. He's like, it's gonna be, like, their souls are already merged now, so I think the process is just gonna be Ozma's gonna come back to the surface. Who was Ozpin before Ozpin? Yeah, because even Salem calls Ozma Ozpin, and she knows that that's Ozma, so why does she call him Ozpin? Unless she's referring to, like, it's like, I don't care what part, who you are, or what identity you take. You're all the same to me. And even Raven has mentioned, like, the man you know as Ozpin. So does the man that we know as Ozpin not the same man that she knew as Ozpin, especially when she was a student at Beacon, which was years and years ago? Very, very interesting. Interesting thoughts, interesting developments. And, I have no idea how the fuck they're gonna get to this airship. Like, okay, we have the idea. Okay, there's gonna be an airship they're gonna want to get. I think what's gonna happen is a big part of it is the enemies are gonna show up. Either Cinder and Neo, or Watts and Tyrian, or all four of them are just gonna all show up, and no one's gonna know, and they're all gonna join forces and cause havoc and wreak havoc, because they gotta get to Atlas too, so they need to steal an airship for themselves. So, I don't know, there's just gonna be a lot of craziness. The Relic's gonna be at risk too, because, it's like, it's one thing to get to Atlas, but it's another thing to still deal with the Relic on you.
But Oz appeared to let the guy with the 2 daughters live his life like he wanted. Did he only take control during sexy time with the wife? Power move.
Come on, bruh. No. I would like to believe that those kids and that family was already established before Ozpin jumped into the picture. Just makes sense. Because then, let's not even go down that rabbit hole, because there are already people complaining about the whole, like, Rose Garden and Ozpin being a factor and why that wouldn't work. It would only work if Ozpin's not a part of it, but then, did Ozpin ever... Was there ever a lifetime where that was something to consider? I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I don't know how they're gonna. I really think I really think that the monkey wrench that's gonna help them out at least is the villain showing up. Because, like, it's one thing for all of these guys to respect the Atlas military and respect Qrow and everything, but I could definitely see Emerald, I can definitely see Neo and Cinder, or even Tyrian and Watts, or at least Watts. I feel like Watts is there's gonna be something with Watts, or maybe something with the relay tower up top, because that has been on the fritz lately, and I speculated a few weeks, I was like, I wonder if Watts is already making his move. And all of these events are happening at different time periods, so Watts and Tyrian could very well already be on their way, already be there.
Gotta go, but here's a parting gift. I won't let go. I will tread until my blood is in the road, and on this I hold. I won't let go. No. Shout. But I know I will scream until my lungs give up my soul, and on this I hold. I won't.
Is that a song?
Peace out.
I don't get it. Is that a song? I feel like that's a song. But thank you very much, EDH Player, for the donations. Thank you for tuning into the stream. I appreciate it very much. You have yourself a great night. I have no idea what the reference is or the parting gift for that. It sounds like lyrics to a song, but I could be missing out. Let's see. But yeah, again, I think the villains are gonna start coming into focus. God, it's gonna be so crazy and hectic. I hope nothing happens to Adrian. If they do end up attacking Argus, Watts has to have, like, some machines helping him, or, like, nanobots, or, I don't know, like, airships, or drones, or something. He has to have something to help him. There's no way that 4 people are gonna overtake a military base.
I love who the person to suggest stealing an Atlas airship was John, the same person who basically stole transcripts to get into Beacon, and also met RWBY and Yang on an airship.
Yep. I mean, it's Yang. I mean, he's the strategist. He's the brains of the operation. He's the shot caller, the team leader. So it doesn't surprise me either. Qrow's coming through, being an asshole, shooting down everyone's hopes and dreams because he's an adult and because he's angry. I mean, he's somewhat right. He's somewhat right.
Song is I Won't Let Go by the Brothers Bright.
Okay.
Look it up. It's really good.
Will do, bud. Alright, I was a little confused by that. I was like... But okay, it was a song. I was right. But yeah, like... I mean, Qrow is like... I get it. He's kind of not wrong. He's like, look, if we fuck this up, we're screwed. There's no going back on it. Like, this is the Atlas military. They already have, like, an itchy trigger finger. They're waiting for an excuse to be made an enemy, so that way they can have an excuse of defending themselves even more than they already want to. But yeah, I think that I get it. So, like, the one thing that RWBY said during this whole speech, so first off, I think that I appreciated the speech. I liked it initially, but going back to it, the one part of the speech that annoyed me, or just like, I was like, RWBY, what you talking about? Was when she was like, we didn't need adults to help us or tell us what to do, or to get us out of trouble, or to tell us what to do. And I was like, Qrow saved you in Volume 4. Maria, if it wasn't for Maria giving you a quick tutorial on the Silver Eyes, the apathy would have killed everybody. I'm like, come on, RWBY. Like, you can't be over here literally implying that you guys, the kids, did everything. Like, no influence or no help came from any adult or any, like, authority figure that wasn't you guys. So, I don't know. Like, I get the Knuckle of E fight. Like, yeah, they saved Qrow's life. Like, okay, I understand that. But the whole reason that happened was because you didn't listen to Qrow when he told you to stay away from him when he was fighting Tyrian, and that's what caused him to be in that situation to begin with. So the whole, like, I get it. I get the fact that they're, like, trying to give RWBY as much, like, individuality as possible to be able to think for herself and do things for herself and not rely on everybody else, so she can be this flushed out main protagonist that everyone wants and hopes her to be. But that speech was a little... I wasn't feeling it too much. Again, like I said, during my reaction I was, but the beauty of the beauty and the curse of a reaction is, like, you only get one take. So I watched it the first time, and that's the lasting impression that most people are going to have.
I held on to the false hope that Pierre could be revived. After all, being revived is what fall kills, but after this episode, much like John, I have to just let go.
Yeah, it's understandable. Like, a lot of people were speculating initially, like, oh, Pyrrha didn't die, we didn't see a body, or, like, she didn't get, she like, teleported somewhere, or Cinder transported her somewhere else, and it was like, the writers and the creators were even letting people know, like, no, we're not debating you. Like, Rooster Teeth doesn't even do April Fool's jokes. You know what I mean? I don't think they're gonna lie deliberately just because other writers lie about deaths and things of that nature than they're writing. So, yeah. It's understandable. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, that one part of the speech was the one thing that, and like I said, like I was saying, the gift and the curse of reactions is, like, most people, like, my reaction videos are the most watched content on my channel, so most people who probably only watch my reactions, that's the lasting impression that they have of a video of mine. So if I say something during a reaction video and then I have a more informed decision on it because I'm able to rewatch the episode afterwards and formulate a better opinion. That's lost on most people. But yeah, like initially in the reaction, I was like, "Oh my God, RWBY, I freaking love you! Like, I'm so proud of you and all that stuff." And then I rewatched it a few times, and I was like, "I don't know how I feel about that speech now." But again, that's why I have these discussions, because I have almost an entire week to kind of watch the episode, gather a full understanding, and kind of arrange my thoughts in a way that I can kind of talk in depth about the episode. And this is kind of like my ultimate send off for how I feel about the episode before the next one comes out. So yeah, I also did like this right here, this little back and forth between these two. Like, RWBY's like, "Look, I'm not a little girl anymore. You have to start, like, trusting and believing in me more." And I like how Maria was like, "Wow, looks like you didn't believe in her either, or you didn't give her credit either." And, like, RWBY's trying, you know what I mean? Like, she's trying to be a lot more of a leader. And, you know, you can't do that if people are constantly, like, you know, not tearing you down, but constantly, like, denying you that. Like, Qrow's just like, just stop. Like, no, stop trying to do what you want to do. Like, come on. At the very least, anything, they need Qrow. Qrow's been, like, out of the loop for the last, like, 2 major conflicts, like, with the apathy and, like, again, with the whole Oscar situation. Ooh, wow. I broke silence. Thank you for the $50 super chat. When the camera was focusing on RWBY for what felt like an eternity, I thought they were going to show, like, a flashback or comparison to Summer Rose, since the camera was from Qrow's point of view. Once again, I love watching your discussions. You're awesome. I wish they did that. I was talking to a friend the night the episode came out, and he said the same thing too. He was like, "I wish that they had done like basically what you said, like a POV, like, shift from RWBY to Summer, so that way, like, because Qrow, like, she's a spitting image of her mom in almost every way." So, you know, Raven even said that she's like, "Oh, you sound just like your mother," and she looks just like her mother, and she probably acts just like her mother from when her mother was a student. So I would think, like, more than anything, like, Qrow would see that more than anyone, since, you know, he was a member of that team. That would have been super cool. But I don't know. I think Summer Rose is, like, this super sacred thing for Qrow right now, or in general, because it's something that people have wanted since the show has started. It's what kicked off the show. Like, the first 2 things you see in the show is you see Ruby Rose in the red trailer. You see Ruby Rose and you see Summer Rose's grave, and that starts the show. Basically, that's the first thing people have ever seen. And you know what I mean? Like, she's already dead, so the first thing people want to know is everything about her leading up to her death. And I don't know. I think maybe next volume. I don't know when's a good time for Summer Rose, because it's like, I would want to say this volume, but we've gotten so much. We got, like, and it's so crazy. I feel like, based on all the stuff that we've gotten up to chapter 9, and we still have 4 chapters left, it's kind of crazy I feel like some people are, like, it's really easy to overlook how much we've got in this volume. Like, we learned about the Silver Eyes, which is something we've wanted to learn about for so long. We have a previous Silver-Eyed, we have another Silver-Eyed, I guess a former Silver-Eyed warrior who's relevant to the plot and is in the picture. We got the entire backstory of Ozpin and Salem, which is crazy in of itself. You know what I mean? I know we need more, but I wouldn't ask for more than what we've already got in this volume, especially if it's something as serious or as important as Summer Rose and Team Stark and all of that stuff. At this point, I think what they're mainly going to be focusing on now is just getting to Argus and what's the word I'm looking for? And converging, like, everyone to that point. Like, Cinder, like I said, Cinder and Neo, Watts and Tyrian, and then Team RWBY and company figuring out how they're going to get there. And then all of that coming together for the finale part, like, for the last couple episodes. But yeah, we're definitely, it's not a matter of if. You should never say if we're gonna get more about Summer Rose. It's when we're gonna get more about Summer Rose. Like, that is happening. Like, it's happening, period. It's just a matter of when. I would want to say Atlas, but I just went down a fucking list of how much shit Atlas has on its plate. And I really hope they spend at least 2 volumes there with the same level of density and the same level of exposure that they gave to like places like Argus and Volume 6 in general. Because Atlas has a lot. There's a lot they need to give us for Atlas, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, getting to Atlas. I'm sorry. I think I said getting to Argus. My bad. Why do you guys keep saying casserole? I keep seeing it in the chat. It's like driving me crazy now. I was trying to avoid it this whole time. I'm like, why do I keep seeing casserole in the chat? Like, what does that mean? Is that like a meme or something? All right, I'm taking off slow chat, by the way. The discussion's basically at the tail end. Oscar's casserole, dude? Oh, the casserole! Holy shit, yeah, that's right, the food! Oh my god, you guys are so hung up on that? Dude, it's what they're having for dinner, relax. Oh my god, okay, yeah, the casserole, there you go. It's burning, it's on fire, it didn't make it. Also, I really wish that, like, when they went back into the house, what's her face? Saffron. I wish she commented, like, on the giant freaking hole that she has in her wall, because Jean decided to punch a hole in the wall because of what happened with, you know, learning about Ozpin's past. Oh my god, yeah, okay, so is the casserole okay? Look, the casserole is the final boss, alright? That casserole is going to grow a life of its own. It's going to develop a semblance, like 3 volumes from now. It's going to become, like, a semi-protagonist. It's going to understand its purpose in life, and then it's going to, like, fight alongside RWBY in the final episode. And then it's going to sacrifice itself because RWBY's low on energy. RWBY's going to eat the casserole, gain all the power she needs, and then perform, like, a super mega crazy move to defeat Salem, and that's the show. You heard it here first, by the way. If that happens, I'm a prophet, by the way. Just saying. Let's see. You need an adult. Thank you for the $5 donation. I thought we were getting a new Jaded and more... I thought we were getting a new Jaded Ruby Rose this volume because of interviews. Not pulling stuff out of her ass for cheap character growth. It was a decent speech before that adult line ruined it. I don't think it's that serious. I mean, they never said that RWBY was gonna be, like, super, like, emo Jaded. I think actually what Lindsay actually said was, when she said basically, like, there's gonna be situations that RWBY's just gonna get annoyed by and pissed off by, and she's gonna take matters into her own hands, which is very similar. Like, Qrow's drinking, he's an alcoholic, he passes out, and then they have to deal with the apathy by themselves. And even right now, like, he's going upstairs instead of, like, sitting with them, and she's, like, bringing that up. She's like, look, like, why do you keep acting like this? Or, you know, like, you've been gone all day, just sit with us. And she's kind of telling him off, like, I don't care what you think. We're gonna do the thing our way, whether or not you think we can or can't. I don't think it was that. I mean, I understand it was a little bit, like, off, because it's like, you're contradicting yourself when you say, like, you don't need help from adults when you've had help from adults in the past. But, it is what it is. I didn't really take it as seriously as, or I didn't really find it as, I didn't take it as aggressively as you did, I guess. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's like, I thought we were getting a new Jaded RWBY, so I think it's more so based on, like, your expectations, or your assumptions, versus what we actually got. But anyways, I mean, you're free to have your opinion. That's fine. Let's see. What sort of camera... I'm sorry, bleh, what the heck am I saying? What sort of weapon do you envision Summer having? A cool weapon. I can't predict weapons at this point. I never thought I could. I don't think I ever can. Because, like, Maria's weapons are, like, one of the coolest weapons. They're gravity dust-infused scythes, or commas, technically, that turn into, like, double-sided scythes. I don't know. Her weapon's super fucking cool, and I couldn't have predicted that would be Maria's weapon, let alone what Summer Rose's weapon would be. So, I have no clue. I just want it to be super cool and super awesome. I don't think it's going to be Scythe on a Chain, Tiny Flower, because that's kind of what... It's not a Scythe on a Chain, but that's kind of what Blake's weapon already is, right? Except it's her gun with a hook at the end of her, like, bow, or at the end of, like, a ribbon that she, like, twirls around and uses, which is essentially like a kunai with a chain, which is for any Inuyasha fans out there, that's what Sango's brother, what was his name? Moroku? No, not Moroku. Moroku was the perv. The original pervy sage. I forgot her brother's name. I want to say Kohaku was his name. I think Kohaku was his name. But yeah, he used that weapon to fight too. So yeah. Oh yeah, it was Kohaku. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so that was his weapon. He always used to, like, spin it around, and he had, like, the little ball weight to kind of, like, have, like, that counterweight on it. Hell yeah. I hope they do a Team Stark spin-off series. Rooster Teeth has mentioned, at least the Qrow has mentioned, that even after the main story of RWBY ends, they want to do spin-offs. They want to do, like, OVA style and spin-off style series that expand on the main storyline or the main universe. But it's just a matter of time. So even if we don't get, you know, if it's not super crazy story relative importance that it has to be in the RWBY proper, I wouldn't mind it being in an animated RWBY spin-off series. Not even a spin-off, just like a continuation of that, essentially. So, or a sequel, or whatever you want to call it. Rosa Lopez, I gotta go soon. I'm glad I could stay pretty much this entire time. The fandom is awesome, and now I'm throwing a casserole Easter egg in my story. That's great to hear. Thank you so much for sticking around. I appreciate it. William Pendragon, I remember seeing fan art with Summer Rose's weapon basically being the Blades of Chaos. Oh my god! Yo, that'd be crazy. I mean, that'd be like... I don't think there are weapons like Kratos' Blades of Chaos, like, anywhere. I mean, there's inspiration, but then there's, like, straight up, like, ripping off, but that'd be super sick. I don't know. I think the Qrow is creative enough to come up with something really cool, especially for a highly anticipated character like Summer Rose. So I have no doubts in my mind that that's going to be an incredibly well done and an incredibly, like, I feel like her character will live up to, not the expectations, because I feel like a lot of people in the fandom have overblown expectations that can never be met, and if you build that expectation and they're not what you expect it to be, then people blame the show instead of, you know, them hyping themselves up. So I want to just say, I think her weapon and her fighting style will say a lot about her based on the fact that she was a team leader, and based on she was a Silver-Eyed warrior. And I wonder if she knew a lot about the Silver Eyes herself. You know, based on the fact that RWBY had to learn from, like, some old woman. So I'm wondering if Ozpin ever told her, or if she learned by other means, or if she did her own research, or whatever the case might be. But with that all said, guys, that is going to be the discussion for RWBY Volume 6, Chapter 9. Again, I want to just say, Happy New Year to everybody who's joined the discussion. I very much appreciate it. It's been a long time coming. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, and I felt like a little rusty throughout the whole discussion just because it's been like 2 weeks since I've been on video or been on stream for anything. So hopefully it went well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know there's a few of you guys in here who it was your first time in the discussion, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Also, it's only been 2.5 hours, so this is one of the shortest discussions that I've done this volume, which is great. And I think I kind of kept everything condensed enough, and I don't think I rambled too much. I hope I didn't ramble too much. But But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like I said, my reaction for Chapter 9 will be out on Saturday. Always at the same time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be working on editing and getting that out tomorrow. I'm going to use the thumbnail of the redheaded woman in the thumbnail. So that's why I'm kind of waiting until like probably the day of to kind of premiere it, just so people don't get spoiled or people are like, who the hell is that? So I kind of wanted to use her as the thumbnail for that. So that will be up on Saturday. And then obviously Chapter 10 comes out for first members on Saturday. Chapter 9 goes out for the public, and so on and so forth. I have a bunch of other videos planned as well. I think I'm going to reach 80,000 subscribers in like the next few days as well. So that's going to be the first big milestone approach of 2019, which is great. I'm hoping, again, if I can, I'm going to try my best, my hardest this year with all the videos and content that I want to do, because there's RWBY Volume 6 that I'm going to be finishing up. There's Kingdom Hearts 3, which comes out this month, that I'm going to be doing a full stream on Twitch. And then, you know, hopefully being able to migrate that to YouTube. Genlock starts this month as well, which is Rooster Teeth's new show that I'm going to be covering for the first season. I don't think I'm going to do live discussions for Genlock, just because the episodes are way longer than RWBY. The first episode of Genlock is half an hour. So the idea of me live stream discussing a 30-minute episode and screen capping a 30-minute episode is just like too much for me. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to do a reaction a week, and I'll do like a really in-depth review. So it'll still be more content than just the usual reaction. So I'll be foregoing the discussions for Genlock and replacing that with discussions weekly. So I think that'll be a nice change of pace, since RWBY is kind of like, I do everything for RWBY, whereas Genlock, I don't want to just do reactions for. I still want to have something that's meaty and something that's of quality and substance. So there's that. I kind of want to get back in. I'm going to definitely be getting back into Red versus Blue seasons 10, 11, 12, and 13. I'm going to hopefully try to make it through those seasons this year. I don't know about anime. I'm not going to go that far just yet. I'd like to bring anime back to the channel, because that was one of the things that started everything out. You know, like, 'cause a lot of people want me to watch My Hero and stuff like that, and, you know, other things, but I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, and I don't want to put too much on my plate and then get overworked. So at least for right now. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I want to do. A big New Year's resolution that I have for this year as well is just being more disciplined. I'll be completely honest with you guys. You guys will see it, because I'm working on a year in review for 2018, looking back at my 2018 like content, like the things I did well, the things I didn't do well, my resolutions, and I'm gonna be a lot more disciplined, because if I'm being completely honest, there were a lot of times in 2018 where I slacked off, where I probably shouldn't have. And I kind of got by because I was able to, because, you know, I was working on one thing, but I could have worked on 10 things that day. So it's just a matter of being more disciplined, saying no to things more than I say yes to. That's a form of discipline that I definitely need to work on. But yeah, ultimately, I think it's for the best. I'm obviously not going to be working myself super ragged. Once RWBY's over, actually, I'm going to have a lot more time to focus on a bunch of other things that I want to do. So I think that's going to be great. But overall, guys, again, thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you guys for the donations. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you guys for, you know, everyone for watching the video, for tuning into the stream live or after the fact if you're watching this, you know, once it's uploaded. Thank you guys for the Patreon support. Thank you guys for the support on Twitch. I hope you guys enjoy 2018 in general. 2019, like I said, is going to be very exciting. We still have the rest of RWBY to look forward to. So, again, thank you guys for joining the discussion. I look forward to seeing you guys next week for the next discussion. And until the next video, take care.